I mean, it's Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? Are you kidding me? This is a jitty. It looks like Saquon Barkley, John.
I don't know. You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday morning to you all. Hope you all enjoyed your weekend. Episode's brought to you by PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks. Nice little Sunday there. I only placed 3 bets, but I won them all. So a nice little 3-0 sweep. Toast, I saw you had a little sweep yourself. Spoon, I saw you broke even today, right?
Yeah, I broke even. Started out real hot. Looked like it was going to be a nice day. I had some CLV on my last few bets besides the Astros. I thought we were going to do well, and as it happens, it fell apart. Broke even, though, so we march on to the next day.
You want to know how I know you broke even today, Spoon? Because about an hour ago, somebody commented on last night's video and said, I went 1-9 tailing this trash. So I see the comment, and I'm like, well, I swept the board, so let me go and look. And Toast also swept. Jacob had a winning day, and you broke even. And then I went, maybe he's just taking the games where everyone agrees on the screen. No, those games went 5-1. So I don't know how.
Hey, I swept too. I gave you Brewers reverse run line. What more do you want?
What more do you want? Are you not entertained?
I'm not entertained.
So I don't know how he arrived at 1-9. I'm guessing he's just pairing a bunch of stuff.
The Mets Nationals bullpen stepping up in the last couple innings just broke my heart. That would have been all the difference making.
I think the guy who made that comment was also on Houston with you, because his next comment made me kind of laugh.
Well, he commented you only could see one or two.
I gotta go look at the comments now.
Well, you only could see 1 or 2 of them. He commented like 20 times. It blanks the ones that are cursing out. Only I can see them. He's having like a meltdown.
He figured it out how to spell one word, and it made me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, he was having a melt. He went 1-9 somehow, even though we all had winning days. All right, so
for future reference, all my picks are posted for free on my juice reel. You can get a free link on my X.
Yeah, it's right on his Twitter there. All right, so we've got 10 games on the board, and then Step on a Duck's coming on later to talk some college football for those of you that want to hang out. Cardinals Reds. So this is actually a double header. I'm not sure which game. So Matthews. All right, so it looks like I have them mixed up here. This pitching matchup is not a game. Matthews is pitching the first one. That's at 1:40 p.m. Rhett Lauder is actually pitching the second one. So we'll just open it up. Everything Reds and Cardinals related. Does anyone have any thoughts on either of these games?
2 things. Somebody asked if I had a juice reel. I don't, because I live in Alaska, and none of the things that I do is technically legal. So I don't have a juice. This is all for fun.
They have Profit X, and they have you could.
Okay. I haven't done that, so that's the answer. But and also, there's no Claude for these games for us, because Claude gets a little confused with the double headers, and I don't like to confuse Claude. Everything runs a much smoother without the double headers.
TV Jones, any thought on either doubleheader? Or are we skipping them?
I kind of like Cardinals game 1. I mean, it's Reds versus a lefty and looking like a bullpen game for the most part. I'm not sure who's coming in after Chase Petty, but bullpen day. Quinn Matthews, 5 innings, 2 earned in Toronto in his first outing, 97 pitches, and he got sent back up here. I think he'll have a good day. I don't mind the Cardinals. Potentially just a little pricey. Game 2, I don't mind an under, but again, we don't know what the hell's even going to happen in game 1. So,
Spoon, any thoughts on either of these?
I agree with the under. I like what I saw from Quinn Matthews so far. It's very small sample size, but I think he can do all right versus Cincinnati's lineup. And Chase Petty's got some really nasty stuff. Another one of these guys. It just needs more time to kind of develop. I like an under early in this game. I have no action though.
Any thoughts, Toast?
No, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's go ahead and move on to Orioles Rays is up next. Shane O'Max on the mound. Spoon, your boy, seems like an affordable price, but Brandon Young's been pretty damn good himself. So, where would you slap a fair price on this one, Spoon?
I mean, Tampa Bay somewhere between the range of -150, -165. Shane McClanahan coming back from the IL. He's not dealing with anything arm related. It's a back soreness. Wasn't pitching that great. I think you get to come back versus Baltimore. I think this is a lineup he can shut down. I don't expect him to be out there for 100 pitches, but 80, 85 is in the range, and that's 5 innings for Shane McClanahan versus Baltimore tomorrow. I like an early under. I took the first 3 under 2.5. I paid minus 125 for it.
Minus 125. That's a pricey one. TV Jones, are you a Shane O'Mac guy?
I'm not the biggest Shane O'Mac fan, but I don't hate him. You got the Orioles here. I make this 153 for the old Rays. I mean, they're at home. Shane McClanahan's been good. He had a rehab outing, 3 innings, no hits, 2 strikeouts, and they just pulled him out. No point in just letting him keep going there. But he's been fine outside of the Boston game where he got hit up for 5, and then at LA and Miami he got hit up for 4. But at home this season, 194 ERA, 0.92 whip. On the road, 431 ERA, 1.33 whip. 10 games on the road, 10 games at home. So he's much more comfortable at home than he is on the road. Brandon Young coming in, had 2 rough outings there against LA and Philly, and then bounced back against Minnesota, but congratulations. Still walked 3 guys in that, gave up 6 hits, 9 base runners in 6 innings. Only 1 came across earned wise, so he kind of got lucky. This Rays team at home, he knows that's where they're much better. Shane O'Mac coming off the IL, I'm not really too concerned, but I do think the Rays can get this done. It's just a little pricey. I make him 153, but I want like 140. Otherwise,
do you trust?
Out on the,
do you really trust the Rays to score runs here? I don't know if I do. I know these numbers look really green. Toast, do you trust the Rays to score runs?
No. I just completely disagree with both of these guys. I wouldn't have the Rays more than 130, 135 in this game personally. If there's one thing that I know about Baltimore is that I like them much more versus lefties than I do righties. Shane O'Mac, obviously a lefty arm there. He is coming back from injury, like they both talked about. He had minor league outings. I would assume that he is fine, but it's not like he's like, I don't know. It's just like, for me, he's been so up and down this year at times that I'm not in a point where I trust him. And I've talked about this going into this series with Baltimore, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. I'm well aware of how good the Rays record looks over their last 2 or 3 weeks. They also beat up on teams like Colorado, Seattle, and the Athletics for a lot of those wins. And again, you get credit for those games. You got to play the games. You got to win them. Great. But as far as handicapping and value and how good teams are playing, I don't put a ton of stock into that. And I know that this Baltimore bullpen has kind of floundered in a little bit lately, but I still feel like this is a very equal to this Rays bullpen. I just don't feel like the Rays should be this big of favorites. I know that they're very, very good at home. They're 41-20 at home, maybe 41-21 after today. But regardless, they're very good at home. But I don't think that they're playing well enough to warrant this type of price personally. And Brandon Young, as TV Jones likes to say, it's win day when this guy takes the mound.
Dude, I think
pitching very well this year.
What are your guys' thoughts on? I can get a Rays team total under 4.5 at minus 130. That seems like a reasonably priced team total under 4.5. More than a 50% probability of not batting in the bottom of the 9th. So you're talking about 24 outs instead of 27 outs to get to 5 runs. Look how consistent Brandon Young's been. I mean, he's not like a Cy Young candidate, but he's been pretty good.
I like it. I feel like there are a lot of those offensive numbers that you see on the screen are aided because they were in Seattle, in Sacramento. We saw them against Boston. They haven't done anything. In the game on Friday, they scored 5 runs. 3 of them came in the bottom of the 9th. So if you get screwed in the bottom of the 9th, I think you can be like, whatever, so be it.
Yeah, I don't hate this right here. Rays team total under 4.5. All right, let's move on. I didn't place it, by the way. Next up, what's the next game on the board? We got Marlins Phillies. Christopher Sanchez at home at the bank. Toast minus 214. Is that steep enough, or you think it should be steeper?
It's steep enough. I don't think it should be steeper with probably no Duran. I don't think I would make it. I would probably make it around 190, 200 still. I want to point out the Phillies offense is definitely starting to heat up. There's no question about that. But I just wanted to point out that Jansen Junk is a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's pushing almost 90 innings this year at a 132 whip, a 415 expected. He doesn't walk anybody. He gets a pretty decent amount of ground balls. Doesn't really get hit super hard. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. So I just wanted to make that point because if Christopher Sanchez wasn't this good at home and this Marlins offense wasn't so bad, I would really be trying to look at the Marlins here. But again, I just feel like Christopher Sanchez at home, I know that he has had a little bit of ups and downs. And when I say a down for Christopher Sanchez, that's like 6 innings and 3 runs against the Yankees. That's like a quote unquote bad Christopher Sanchez start. I think that he should be fine tomorrow. Phillies minus 1.5 or pass. I have no interest though.
I will say his last few home starts, he's given up a couple runs. TV Jones, the vig free price is Phillies minus 214. Would you say A, too steep, B, just right, or C, not steep enough?
Too steep. I mean, yeah, Chris Sanchez, sure, he's been great all year, Cy Young contender, but like you said, he's been getting hit up a little bit. Yes, on the road more than at home, but the last 3 home games he has given up something. I mean, 6 hits, 7 hits to Washington, the Yankees who can't hit, and then the Dodgers who also can't hit. But that was about a month ago. I'll cut him slack on that one. 3 earned, but I mean, other than that, been great all year. On the road, not as much. At home, 140 ERA, 103 WHIP. I mean, lights out, nothing you can really talk shit about, but he has been giving up some contact. Miami is a feisty lineup. They're not playing great baseball right now, but they're feisty. They're finding ways to hang around. Jansen Junk has been much better the last, 7 outings, basically, outside of the road start at Houston where he gave up 6 earned, 1 earned, 0, 2, 1. I mean, he's been great. He's been going 5-6 innings as of 6 innings last time, but otherwise he's giving you about 5 innings roughly of good work. Marlins bullpen isn't good to go. You got the Phillies, no Duran. He threw 33 today. And then Kirkring, Mesa, and Bolin went, but they threw like 14 pitches apiece. So not too concerned. But overall, their bullpen hasn't been great. It's been a little bit better, but it still hasn't been great. Marlins, about the same thing. I mean, you got Peterson, Zuber on back-to-backs. You're not going to see them. Akenis threw 2 out of 3, and then everybody else will be available. And unfortunately, that means Fairbanks as well. So you got to worry about that. I like the Marlins at this price. This feels utterly ridiculous. I know they're at the bank. I know Chris Sanchez is so much better, but I don't think the Phillies have looked that great to be laying $2, especially with Sanchez, who's been coming down to earth a little bit as of late.
Yeah, I mean, Duran throwing 33 pitches is a little bit concerning, but if I was to bet the Phillies here, I'd be laying the run line. So hopefully I'd be in a comfortable position. Maybe Phillies minus 3.5. Just like I'm hoping to not see Duran or not see a situation that would call for Duran, that is. Spoon, where are you at?
I don't think Jansen Junk is that bad. I look at unders in this game. Chris Sanchez is a predominantly ground ball pitcher. This park just yields to ground ball success every time Sanchez is on the mound. Like they change something about the park. Jansen Junk also puts a bunch of balls on the ground. I think he goes out there, has early success against Philadelphia. I agree with Trevor that Miami is underpriced in this game, but the under is where I'd like to lie. I just really think Sanchez goes out there deals for 7 innings or so. Jansen Junk goes out there for 5, maybe even 6 innings, holds the Phillies to 2-3 runs tops and hands it off to a decently rested bullpen. I don't think this is a game where we see a bunch of fireworks, but that's my take there. I also like that early first 3 under. It's kind of calling my name.
Phillies bats are starting to come alive, though.
And people don't like Jansen Junk. That's a spot you can make money because he's a decent pitcher.
They're also 2-3 the last 5 home games. Their wins are Miles Michaelis, Shane Bieber. They lost Jake Irvin. Oh God, not really a bunch of nobodies. Like the last couple home games haven't been great, righties wise. Scherzer, Soriano, Irvin, they all lost to. They beat Michaelis and Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber, they won 7-6, even though they got 5 runs off of them. They barely won.
I just don't see how that pertains to them playing Jansen Junk tomorrow.
Oh, I'm just saying. At home, they've been the 2 out of 3 in their last 5, and it's not like they've been losing to Mizorowski and Blake Snell and all these other guys. It's the freaking Nationals.
I'm putting Phillies -1. I think they crushed Jansen Junk. I think this is a comfortable one for the Phillies.
If I could have gotten plus money with that, I probably would have made a small bet, but I can't.
With no Duran, I don't know. Phillies are past in some capacity. Tigers Pirates. Mlodzinski's on the mound against Framber Valdez. Spoon. Framber on the road in Pittsburgh. Pirates bats were dead, and they looks like they've been revived. They're starting to score a little bit. They got shut out the other day, but they've put up crooked numbers in 3 of their last 4 games. Does that do anything for you, Spoon? Do you have any more confidence in the Pirates bats than you did, say, a week ago?
Not really. They have shown the ability to score a couple times here. I guess the Bennett start was impressive because he's been rolling right along. But outside of that, I mean, this Pirates team versus lefties has not done anything since pre-All-Star break days. And I'm just not really worried about this offense right now. Framber Valdez, yes, he's had some blow-ups. He's coming off a 4-run outing. I expect him to bounce back. We've seen this quite a few times from him this year. When he has a bad outing, he comes back, generally has a good game after it. I don't trust Pittsburgh to do anything here. Carmen Mlodzinski on the other side. Earlier this year, he was absolutely rolling. He's been isolated to a bullpen situation right now. His last 2 games, they've kind of asked him to take the majority of innings. He's got absolutely blown up 4 earned runs, 5 earned runs apiece in those games versus Miami. And the New York Mets, I think Detroit gets to him. I like Detroit here. This is a game I feel like I have an edge on. Full game. I have not moved on it.
Yeah. Let me go.
You agree?
Yeah. So let's just piece together really quickly how the Pirates are going to attack this game from the pitching standpoint, because I agree that I don't like this spot for Mlodzinski, or however you say his name, because he's not going to go deep into this game. I agree with you. I'm just saying I'm always going to forget it when I'm on a rant. So he's not going to go deep into this game, and that's a problem there, because if you look at that bullpen situation for the Pirates, their 2 middle relievers in Barco, both went heavy pitch counts today. Kirby Yates is on 2 of the last 3. Duvall's on 2 of the last 3. Montgomery's on 2 of the last 3. Montgomery, I'm sure, is available. But my point is that who's going to take some bulk innings for this team? It's not going to be Soto. It's not going to be Weaver. So
it's going to be Johan Ramirez, who kind of sucks.
Yeah, so I just feel like there's a lot of question marks here with the Pirates pitching staff in this game, but when you look at their bullpen to start, it doesn't look too bad. But when you realize that Mlodzinski, or however it is, isn't going to stay late, I think there's some issues there. I agree that Framber should pitch well against this Pirates team. I don't really believe in what I've seen the last couple of days either. And this Tigers bullpen has been absolutely fantastic. And they have like 3/4 of their arms available. So, yeah, I'll be on the Tigers tomorrow as well.
It's going to be Johan Ramirez. He came in and pitched 40 on Tuesday. He's had 5 days off. He's going to come in and pitch like 3 or 4 innings probably.
Probably, yeah.
What do you think, Jones?
I like Detroit here as well. I mean, Framber. Framber, you never know what you're going to get. It's a choose your own adventure every time he goes on and pitches.
I don't trust Framber, dude.
I don't mind Framber. Pittsburgh's been great. Cool. They beat a struggling Red Sox team who, by the way, was very spot on about their slump.
Slumpy slump?
Slumpy slump definitely occurring in Boston right now. That's for damn sure.
I can't believe you said that.
You know, something they start rolling. I start a sentence. I don't know where it's going to go.
He was dead serious when he said it as well.
It just slipped out.
It was just there.
Hey, it is. But you know what? All we had to do was see the Dodgers, and we're back. But I do like Detroit here. I mean, they already went through everything, bullpens, all that good stuff. Tigers' offense has been good for a minute. Cool. Pirates, you showed up twice in the last month and a half. Awesome. I want no part of this team. Detroit at this price, it's see it going down a little bit too. I saw 122. Now I see 115. I might just wait and see where I can get this. But I mean, I think it's ridiculous that people are buying back on Pittsburgh. I mean, cool. They beat again the Red Sox.
Sports scientist Jacob is spitting flames in the comments. I could not agree more. Why can we get a 7.5 right now?
Oh yeah, he mentioned that too. Yeah, I think it was 8.5 last I saw.
Did you take that over, Jacob, or no? I can get over 7.5 at -117. Wind
yeah,
blowing out.
He was on it. Where can you get that?
Just close the window.
I can find one of those too. I don't like it, but yeah, I can see.
Like over 7.5. What do you think?
I
Framber's gonna deal?
I do. So
he sucks, bro.
You're a hater.
Not a hater. I'm just telling you like it is. No, it's -126.
Like after Framber doesn't have a good game is like the time I definitely want to back him.
I can get a 122 on the over.
-122, -1. I can't get that -117. I like over. All right, let's move on.
I did say I'd play it if I can get a decent 7.5. I would like that, but I was seeing like 8 to 8.5. So I was like, I'll just take Detroit. I do like Detroit, but 7.5 is tempting.
Arizona toast. Mitch Bratt pitching against Bayo, who's the primary. I believe Boston's using an opener here named
they are.
Gamboa, but I think Brian Bayo is the primary.
He is. And if we know one thing about Brian Bayo is that his time coming out of the bullpen, he is absolutely lights out, nails, nada, whatever you want to use. That's what Brian Bayo is now that he's been coming out of the bullpen. This is going to be probably the biggest test for him, I would say, getting the bulk innings against this Arizona team that's, I mean, essentially red hot right now. I know that they just lost a game today on a Matt Olson 3-run shot, but this offense has really been picking up lately. Mitch Bratt is a guy that has a lot of talent. He was a guy that, like I said before, pitched for Team Canada in the WBC 4 years ago, and we're starting to see some of that come to fruition here over his last 7 starts. Really, only one bad one on the road in Washington. And he's faced teams like the Padres, like the Dodgers, Cleveland not so much, Colorado not so much. But regardless, he's pitched well. It's either under the 9, which is at -114. And as far as the side is concerned, I really don't know. I guess Arizona, because I don't think that Boston should be this big a favorite with the way that they've been playing lately. I mean, they're not even playing 500 baseball the last 2 weeks, but I think the bullpens are a match. I think Arizona might have a small offensive advantage. It would only be Arizona on a side, but I like the 9 better. 9.5, whatever you can get.
Where are you at on this one, Jones?
I really wanted them to just say, you know what, Brian, go out there and start. You've earned the right. You're back, and then we just mash the Diamondbacks with the team total and money line. Unfortunately, they're smarting up. They're not letting him go out there and start. Refuse to, because he gives up the 9.5 will be cleared by himself. So unfortunately, he gives 8 earned, 7 earned. He did
8 earned.
They could go. Dude, he gets tattooed when he starts. It's honestly ridiculous. But I still like the D-backs here. When the Boston's look terrible, they're overall this season not as good at home as they are on the road. Arizona's been playing well. Yes, the Matt Olson 3-run bomb was unfortunate today, but it is what it is. Whatever. They've still been playing good. Bratt's been fine. I haven't really had much of an issue with him overall. And Bayo, yeah, he's lights out of the bullpen. So probably the move is taking it under, knowing that, because he will go 5-6 innings and give up 1 run, maybe. But I think the bullpen and what we got with Arizona here, plus money, I'll take a stab. I've just not been impressed with Boston's offense as of late here. So I'll take a stab with the Diamondbacks.
I don't like any of this, Spoon. I don't like it at all. I don't trust Mitch Bratt to go into Fenway. I don't trust Bayo. I don't like the over. I don't like Arizona. I'm thinking runs. Where are you at here, Spoon?
You're thinking runs. Tomorrow, Ballpark Pal has this projected -9% runs and -1% runs overall. This is wind blowing in at Fenway, temperatures in the 60s. I mean, Mitch Bratt throws junk. Like,
I don't
none of
care
this,
if Mitch
like,
Bratt.
he's not a 99 mile an hour kind of guy. Throws 91, 92, has a nasty slurve that comes in the low 80s. It's hard to hit him. I think he goes out there and pitches well. Boston's not shown up and hit lefties lately. I mean, Gage jumped twice. They got 2 runs off him in 12 innings. Lopez, they got 1 run. That's a very offensive park. Couldn't do anything against either of those lefties. Jump at the time, you guys were grilling me about being terrible. Shane McClanahan, right before he hits the IL with a back injury, gives up 5 earned runs. Outside of that, this Boston team has not gotten to lefties. I think at home in a day that's a little bit run suppressive, this is a decent spot for an under. I agree with Toast here. I think Bayo too, getting set up with opener. Obviously, this has been a spot where he just looks more comfortable pitching. I still have question marks on Ketel Marte. He was in the lineup today, but dealing with a knee injury right now, flying, I mean, partway across the country. They were down in Atlanta today, I think. So I don't know that Marte's in the lineup. This is a big number for a run suppressive park when it's not wind blowing out and hot.
I don't trust either starting pitcher. I don't know. I feel like you're saying run suppressive. It's in the 60s, and it's like 3 miles an hour of wind. It's not like wind blowing in. It's just not windy.
Like, it's not an offensive park unless it's hot and the wind blowing out is the second part of the comment. And that's what it's not tomorrow. It's not in the 80s. It's not in the 90s. The wind's not blowing out. It's a really big wall you hit off out there. Like, that takes away home runs. A lot of guys don't hit their arc that high. I mean, your Boston bats change their swing to do it. Maybe they get a couple off Mitch Bratt, but like, it's hard to hit a guy really hard when he's throwing at 91.5 mile an hour.
I'm saying over.
I can't find 9.5s, unfortunately.
Next up is the Prize Picks segment. Toast, you sent me the email here.
Yep, just another winner today. No big deal, guys.
Yeah, yours won. Claude's didn't.
Claude's was close though. Claude takes gambles, so like one of mine equals, or like 3 of mine equals like one of Claude's wins.
This is a Claude exclusive. Kyle Tucker higher than 1.5 total bases, and Shane O'Mac higher than 1.5 walks allowed. That's straight from Claude. Toast.
My 3 for tomorrow, trying to take advantage of the nice weather in a game that I think we see some runs. Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI, and Jake McCarthy, the Rockies lefty killer, higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs himself. Those are my 3 for tomorrow.
That's brought to you by PrizePicks. Play $5, get $150 if you win. That's if you use the promo code HMA. Link is also in the description.
So who's winning in the contest? Is it man or robot? Claude or Toast?
I don't think Toast has been tracking it.
I haven't been tracking it. I would assume it's pretty close. Like, I have more like daily wins, but like I said, his are always bigger. So as far as actual ROI, I bet you it's pretty close.
Claude's got
to go back and do all
the
the research.
everything. He's not.
Speaking of scorching hot baseball teams, let's talk Mets. Sweep, no big deal. TV Jones, known Mets guy. Mets coming off the sweep, no travel involved. The Padres flying in off a series with Cleveland. McLean's
and a rain delay.
I would imagine TV Jones, the Mets guy, is going Mets here.
Yeah, normally you'd think so, but no, I like the Padres here in this one. I mean, Walker Buehler versus McLean, sure, I'll give you the advantage for Mr. Clean, but Walker hasn't been terrible. 1 earned, 3. That wasn't great in 4 1/3, but 2 earned. I mean, he's been great in his last 5. Prior to that, you know, a little suspect, a little bumpy, bump in the road, but he's been fine lately. Milwaukee, at Arizona, and then at Miami, at Atlanta, and those other 2, and those were just fine. So now you're going to hit the road here. Going to play the Mets. We know this is, as you say, a more what's the word I'm looking for? Decreasing run park. I don't know. Whatever. Lower run sad here. But
pitcher's park.
Run
park.
suppressive.
Yeah, thank you. Run suppressive. Thank you. That's the correct terminology I was looking for. But you got 4 or 5 lefties in this lineup that he's going to see tomorrow potentially, and lefty's been giving him struggle as of late. Last 45, 11% walk rate, over almost a 180 whip, 391 WOBA, 10.5 barrel, 52% hard hit. On the season, lefties have given him the most struggle too. Over a 4 ERA, the 405 FIP. His xFIP is 365, but still the WOBA was 332. Barrels 8% on the season. Hasn't been great. Home versus lefties has been his worst spot too. So again, only 4 or 5 of them, but still San Diego's got some guys that can hit. Yes, the Padres have been hitting too. 100%. I mean, I don't think Walker Buehler's gonna go unscathed here, but I think he can give us 5 innings of 1 or 2 run baseball. And then when we turn it over after these pitchers, bye Mets advantage. It's the Padres bullpen's gonna have the advantage in this one. Plus 109 felt like a gift. Sure, the Mets are looking good, but once they see some actual pitching in this bullpen, I think it's going to be tough. And it's also win day for Mr. Buehler as well.
That was adorable.
Pretty positive.
Toast, tell
yes,
him.
it is.
I think the game is efficiently priced. Sorry to bury the lead. I lean Padres for the price, but there's no way I can bet it. I'm still here's why. One, like Trevor said, Walker Buehler's been a lot better than people give him credit for. He had like 3 bad starts, but besides that, he's been very, very good. My issue is, and I don't really care too much about the names, this Mets lineup is like all the way back. I mean, right-handed pitching, left-handed pitching, they're back. So I'm not like ready to like sell the farm on Walker Buehler, but I'm also not ready to back him with my money on the road in Queens against this team. Nolan McLean's been really, really good. I know, again, it's the same type of situation, but I think McLean's been a little bit better than Walker Buehler. I think the offenses are a wash. The only reason that I lean the Padres is because the Mets bullpen's all 2 of the last 3. It's tiny pitch count, so it probably doesn't really matter. But in a bullpen that I'm still trying to get a feel for with all these new names and whatnot, again, I think it's efficiently priced. You can put the Padres up for me, but I'm not betting it. I wish I could.
Look at McLean home road splits.
Spoon. This might be a look for your first 3 under.
It is a look for my first 3 under. I already got 10 cents on the best number on the board. I got under 2.5 minus 110. You can still get 120 in this game. I think Nolan McLean comes out there and deals. Yes, he struggles with lefties, but as Toast will tell you, you don't have a bunch of hard-hitting lefties in this Padres lineup. You do have a couple decent guys, but nobody that really scares me off McLean. Cronenworth's going to hit in the top 3 in the order. You're going to have Jackson Merrill somewhere in there, and then Sheets will hit towards the bottom. I think Nolan McLean can navigate his way through this lineup at least one time without taking more than a run of damage. And then same to be said for Walker Buehler. This Mets lineup, I mean, they have put up some runs here in a few games. I guess you could say they're back. They hit up Elder and Jones, but outside of that, I really don't trust this lineup right now. I think Walker Buehler can go out there, have himself a decent start. He hasn't been going super deep into games, but I have a first 3 bet. That doesn't bother me. I just need him to go out there, navigate the lineup one time, maybe see Francisco Lindor twice. That's all I'm asking him. I think 2.5 is low. I think this closes in the 140s to 150s.
Yeah, everyone wants to talk about the Padres lineup being back. Toast, can you point out like a good righty starter that they've gotten to recently? Because I'm having trouble finding one personally.
I said this game. Don't come at me. I said this game was efficient.
I'm having trouble finding one good, like Dusty May. They didn't get to Logan Henderson. Christian Javier. There you go. Is he an all-star this year? I don't think he made it. Lambert didn't get to him. Didn't get the Fott. Landon Rupp. All right. There you go. This is a bunch of shit. I want to bet the
McLean's got an over 4 ERA at home.
Right there. We're a Javier Plus program.
Mets are back. No, I think we might sweep this team.
I've got wrong team favored. Padres minus 112.
Flying in, no rest. All right.
I said no. I was serious when I said that. The Padres had a rain delay. They're a couple hours behind already. I don't love that. Don't love it.
He doesn't
Yeah,
love
they didn't play
Joe-
I think his
Baseball,
sport
good.
works in the 1 inning role. Like he looks like a completely different pitcher as a reliever. I like it a lot.
I agree. I think that the Mets bullpen is still a little bit underrated, even though they lost. Like it seems like everybody, but again, short sample. We got to keep watching.
The Kansas City Royals are minus 170 vig for
I saw that. It's like, what the fuck?
in the year 2026 of our Lord.
Mason Barnett's given up 6 home runs in his last 2 starts.
Spoon.
Jack Higley.
So you're on.
I heard-
so you're
I
on the
heard-
Royal.
Yeah, Spoon. I heard this is your favorite bet of the day here.
I immediately did what you guys are doing and just like slap your knees like Kansas City Royals with that bullpen minus 170. But the more you start to look into it, I don't think this line is really that far off. Like, how far are you going to put it? Mason Barnett has literally given up 6 home runs in his last 2 starts. I don't know. Maybe that's the best.
And in Sacramento, give the guy a break.
Give him a break, Spoon.
Come on.
And their bad bullpen is taxed.
What's the difference in the bullpens?
Well, Kansas
I
City
mean,
with a
that's
fresh
fair.
bullpen is as bad as anybody in the league. But the Athletics bullpen
No.
is also that
Guys.
bad. They're literally ranked 30th in ERA, WOBA, and XFIP over the last month, and they have their 3 best pitchers on 2 of the last 3. Like, I understand why Kansas City's priced this way. It's probably like in your best interest to not ever bet Kansas City at a minus 170 favorite with the bullpen they're rolling out there. But the way Michael Wacha's been pitching, like, how many innings do you really need? 2? Like, I think he's probably going to go out there and deal 7 innings versus the Athletics tomorrow. They're not hitting righties right now. Wacha's locked in his zone. Sure, the Dodgers got 3 runs off him last time, but he's going out there giving this team quality start after quality start right now. I think Kansas City shows up. I like an over here in this game. Wacha gives up 3 in 7 innings. Barnett gets absolutely tagged, and then we see a couple of innings of bullpens that just get destroyed. This is a disgusting game. Immediately looked at the first 3 under because the number was like off compared to the full game price, and I was like, yeah, that's because Mason Barnett's going to get smoked. Caglione props.
I was actually going to say under, but I don't give a shit enough to even. What do you think, Jones?
Utterly ridiculous. A's only, but I mean, what's the difference in the bullpens? One's healthy, one's taxed. What is honestly the difference any other day of the week? No difference. No difference. I'll take the A's out of principle, but I'm not betting this game.
I wanted a screenshot with the A's under, Jones. Toast.
That's fine. Screenshot it away.
Royals minus 1.5 to make the screenshot just a little bit better. But the only reason I say that is because the A's bullpen. I agree with Trevor that both these bullpens are bad, but when you have the 3 top arms in a bad situation, it's just, again, I'm not betting it.
Just
so
to
it
complete the quad, I'm putting under up because that is what I was going to pick. A's, Royals, over and under. Let's move on. Next up, Braves, Twins. Martin Perez on the road here against Bailey Ober. Toast. Braves short road favorites. What are your thoughts on Bailey Ober these days?
I'm a little bit I like Bailey Ober. There's a lot of people that like to give him a lot of flack, and I don't really enjoy it. And I feel like I end up being a Bailey Ober defender. Spoon smiling because he understands why. But look, this guy is putting almost 100 innings on the board with a 123 whip. He doesn't walk anybody. Yeah, he doesn't strike a whole bunch of people out. But I think he's a lot better.
He doesn't get a whole lot of people out.
He's a lot better than people give him credit for. And as a good friend of mine, TV Jones, would say, it's kind of win day when Bailey Ober takes the mounds. And it's not like this Braves offense. I know that it looks really good on paper usually, but like, look at them on the road. Look at them versus right-handed pitching. Like, I don't think it's crazy that even though with a whole bunch of lefties in that lineup, that Bailey Ober pitches well to this Braves team right now, who I don't really think is playing that great. And then as far as the Twins are concerned, I mean, they've been pretty decent versus left-handed pitching. I don't know how long Martin Perez is going to continue to be able to pitch the way that he is. He's also been fantastic. I mean, 97 innings, 121 whip, 306 ERA. All the peripheral stuff is absolutely terrible, but he does get a whole bunch of ground balls. But, I mean, Trevor's been harping on this. I've been harping on this. This Braves bullpen is not good. and they haven't been good for a while now. Iglesias got lucky again today. It seemed like he threw 21. Fuentes is 2 of the last 3. Lee went today. Sutter went 49 on Saturday, so he's probably not available. Like, there's a lot of question marks. Are there questions in the Twins bullpen too? Yes, but I really want to bet the Twins here. I don't know if I can actually do it. I would probably need like 115, 120 to actually pull the trigger, but I do think that it's a decent spot for the Twins tomorrow. TV Jones, are you with me?
I already bet the Braves -122.
No, you didn't.
No, I agree
Yeah,
with Jones. I agree with Jones here.
What? Did we not just see what the Twins did today? They're the most recent installment of Minnesota Twins baseball. Blow a 5-run lead, get run lined at home when you're up 5 damn runs. Incredible.
I'm betting the Twins.
No, hold on. Can you at least hear Jones out?
Yeah, hear me
he
out.
was making a good. He was making a good point.
Yeah, I mean, Martin Perez been great. Yeah, he had a couple rough outings, but he's 4 of the last 5, 0 earned. He's going 4, 5, 7, 6 innings. I mean, he's been great. What the Twins are gonna tattoo him and win? I mean, they've been getting to these guys still 2, 3, 6, 4 runs. They still lose these games. Like, they're not looking great. They're 5 and 5 in their last 10 against lefty starters. Perez worse on the road, sure, but Bailey Ober starting to get hit up at home. 3 home runs to Baltimore last time out. That is not good. Gave up 3 runs, but 2 earned off of Kansas City, and then Cleveland got 1 off him. He also has a home run problem at home. I think all but 3 games he's given up a dinger at home. This Braves team has the bats, has the power. I mean, the Phillies bullpen's not good too. We saw what they did. They at least nailed it down outside of the 1-inning grand slam from Painter. Bailey Ober rolls out of bed, gives you 3 too. So give me the Braves -122. This is an affordable price. Yes, the bullpens are used, but Minnesota's already suck, and now they got 4 guys potentially unavailable tomorrow. So I'll take my chances with Martin Perez and the Braves.
Did he change your mind, Toast?
No, he didn't mention. He's been harping on the Braves bullpen nonstop. Didn't mention it conveniently one time in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I'll be betting the Braves.
Fair. They're not the best, but Minnesota, I don't think their bullpen is any better. That's going to shut them down. Phillies bullpen's ass too. Look what they did outside of Painter. They shut them down.
I think Jones, I agree with you on Braves, and I think I might bet this with you, but you left out the most important point though. Yeah, you look at this graphic here. Like Toast said, the Braves bats haven't been very good. Look at the last 2 weeks. They're struggling against right-handed pitching. Look at the pitchers they've seen. Fott, he's been untouchable. McClain's been great. Schlittler, 7 innings, 1 run. Cole. I mean, they've. When's the last time they saw an easy righty? If you go back to when they saw hittable righties, they were scoring. Yuri Perez, another great arm. They got to him. They've seen elite right-handed pitching. That is not Bailey Ober. It's Braves here. Spoon, tell him.
Yeah, when Toast was talking to people giving him shit about Bailey Ober, he was referring to me because when Bailey Ober goes out there and throws an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, I just struggle to see how it's going to be successful in the long term. And when you go up and down that list of the pitchers that the Braves have faced from the right-hand side recently, the guys that are throwing junk, the low-speed guys, Michaelis, Irvin, Jansen Junk, they're getting to all those guys. The guys that are throwing heat like McLean, Schlittler, Cole, the velocity is more difficult for them. This lineup is not one of the best lineups in baseball right now, but I think they can get to a guy like Bailey Ober. The pen situation is huge for Minnesota right now. You have all of your arms that are going to get you deep into this game in a tax situation where you've worked 2 of the last 3 days. Back-to-backs. So I just don't think it works out really well. I know Atlanta's bullpen's been struggling since the All-Star break. I still trust the conglomeration of arms they have more than what Minnesota has. And Martin Perez, he's been really decent. So I like Atlanta here at -120. I haven't moved on it yet. If you and Jones are going to do it, I'll press the button.
No, I'm changing my mind. I forgot that Buxton recently came back, and he's a lefty killer. And The Twins lineup against lefties is completely different when he's at the top of it. So with Buxton back, I don't really trust Perez like that. So I would switch to over or Braves team total over rather than Braves.
I'll be on the Twins tomorrow.
It's a bad pick.
Twins team total under, probably a good look too.
With Buxton, though, they hit lefties when Buxton plays.
I'm not afraid. Martin Perez is a seasoned savvy vet.
I'm not.
And the Braves can't hit on the road.
Until they see the Twins.
Yes, they can hit on the road. They've seen a lot of good pitchers recently. Jones, did you see the graphic revealing that you were secretly a Cubs guy?
Wait, what?
That video was great.
Oh, that was hilarious. So
You didn't see the video?
he's been in a bender for the last 4 days.
I've been literally in the
my
middle of the
God.
woods for 4 days.
I'm going to play it on the
You put
screen.
that
So
live
everyone,
on the screen?
yeah, I'm going to play
Yeah,
it.
you
There's no
have
way
to.
there's copyright on that.
That was
Chibi Jones, somebody, I'm not even going to say it, but just wait for this. This is fantastic work by somebody.
It's that same
AI
guy.
is
He
not
always
a
makes
It's
AI
honestly so good. I watched it, and my kids and I, we were watching it on my phone. We didn't know if it was AI or real. It's that good.
No way.
It's definitely not AI. It's real.
That's
No,
why
It's
I
not
was like,
gonna
I had no
copy-
idea.
There's no
Okay,
way.
this is where I draw the line because it's definitely AI. All right, hold on.
I believed it.
I don't know if it's recording the sound.
Man, AI is getting out of hand.
This one, you're going to laugh.
All right. So, I'm going to pull it up on the screen. Go ahead and start talking about this game. I'm going to pull it up on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, huge game, cross town, whatever series, whatever the hell. Yeah, awesome. Luis Castillo and the best team in the AL going at the Cubs, who, man, you want to talk about a sad team getting slapped at home by the Cardinals last 2 days. Just my Lord. Shout out the Cardinals for that fat plus money coming in there. Now Castillo back, last outing, 7 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned, 2 walks, fantastic. I think this is another spot where he can get up and actually look well. Yes, there's some lefties in that lineup that are going to be a bit of an issue for him here, but there's also some lefties in that lineup, 3 or 4 that could cause some issues for Shota. We know he's a fly ball guy, struggles versus lefties, and at home, 4.76 ERA versus lefties at home, 6.16 FIP. Not been great, 13% barrel. So, I mean, we know he can do that. The righties, he's been great. Really no complaints there, but strikeout rate dropping versus the righties as of late here. But both teams going in it, you're going to have the White Sox. All 3 of their good arms are going to be available. You're going to have Taylor, Hudson, Hicks, all available. And then, I mean, everybody else is still good other than Newcomb, Hagen Smith, and Brazaban, all into a 3. They'll be good. Now, yes, Taylor, Hudson, Hicks, and somebody else all through back-to-back Saturday and Friday. They got the day off, so I think they're going to be fine. The Cubs bullpen has been absolute trash. The offense has looked like trash. PCS has been trash. Goodbye to his MVP bid because he's been showing his true colors this whole series. And I think it continues tomorrow against
He hit a
Castillo. I
homer.
think Castillo, yeah, whatever, one time. Scoreboard. But, I mean, yes, the Cubs bullpen's been a little bit better, but we know they haven't been good. They've got a bunch of injuries. This is a big series for the White Sox. This price is too ridiculous. I mean, in what world are you laying out with the Cubs? This team can't win a game. They can't score right now. They look shit. What have you done for me lately? White Sox going on the road, win divisional series. They're coming home to own the town. So GG's to the Cubs in this one.
All right, I found the video.
I believe it. Just wait.
Man, garbage. He's getting Yo, what the hell?
Hold on, I want to freeze frame it.
AI. Hey, I forgot. How could I forgot the Daily Fly of the L?
Spoon, I don't even know where you're going to start here because not 72 hours ago, right before TV Jones went on his bender, he was all out a Cubs guy. So why don't you walk us through what you think happened?
Well, I think during the bender, I mean, he found himself again. It's like one of those ayahuasca trips that they go on. TV Jones, as a Brewers fan, found himself. He's getting ready for Wisconsin football because he knows that's what happens this time of year. The Brewers are on their last leg. He's trying to celebrate it. I hope that regular season Jones is excited as playoff Jones is to like talk about all the Brewers games because he gets really into it, sharing everything. Because I feel like playoff Jones is just going to disappear like one of those nights. This game tomorrow, I have a tough time looking at Shota Imanaga and thinking he should be minus 150 favorites in this game. Castillo came out, absolutely dealt his first game in a White Sox uniform. I don't think the Cubs tear them apart tomorrow. If you're getting to Castillo, you have a bunch of lefties in your lineup. It's one thing that the Cubs really can't do. We can put like 3 lefties in there. Ian Happ is a ghost of what he was a few seasons ago. Michael Busch, Pete Crow Armstrong, they can do some damage, but that's not enough to win a whole game. I think Castillo is going to go out there, pitch pretty well. I'm looking at the innings for Shota Imanaga. Like, it's priced at 17.5 right now. You can take the under at plus 137. He hasn't worked deep into the games his last couple of outings. The Cubs bullpen is in a decent situation with Webb and Zephyr having back-to-back days off. David Peterson's recently been added to this bullpen. I don't see any reason for Imanaga to really go deep into this game. This is a guy they need in the postseason. This is a team that's locked in right now. They're 5 games up in the wild card and 5 games behind the Brewers. That creates complacency. So I think that 17.5 should be 110 to each way kind of bet. Imanaga is a good guy. I generally look for pitcher-friendly days. Wrigley Field is not super hot tomorrow. The wind's not pouring out, but when the White Sox and the Cubs meet up, there's a lot of runs scored, and Imanaga puts way too many balls in the air for me to feel comfortable versus this White Sox offense right now.
Where are you at on this one, Toast?
Completely disagree with both of these guys. I think Imanaga absolutely shoves tomorrow. I guess I don't understand like what I'm missing. Are we impressed that the White Sox hit up Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo? I guess because if that's the yes, then I guess full sail ahead. But Imanaga in shitty weather against a team that I don't really think is that fantastic offensively. I know that they can put up really big numbers, but Imanaga at home has been fantastic. And over the course of the full year, I mean, he's approaching over almost 140 innings with a 340 or 374 ERA, a 110 WHIP, strikes out almost over 23.5% of batters, walks like 5% of batters. Yeah, he has the fly ball issue. That's great. Wrigley Field is going to be 70 degrees with the wind blowing in tomorrow. Like, I don't think that's going to be an issue here. I really think Imanaga can pitch well here. And then as far as Castillo goes, I mean, so what? He had the game of his life, his second time out. Because don't forget, his first game in the White Sox uniform, he got smoked up in Boston. Then he got home against a Reds team that's kind of pretty bad, and he had like I said, the start of his life. I would love to fade that. I don't know if I trust the Cubs bats to fade it enough. It would be White Sox team total under 3.5 minus 115 would be the bet for me. I truly think that Imanaga is more than capable of giving us 6 innings of 2-run baseball at max. And if the bullpen gets hit up, the bullpen gets hit up. But I don't think there's a lot of runs tomorrow. I know, and to Spoon's point, this is one of those series. I think it's went over 9 runs, like 8 of the last 13 games or something like this. But I think Imanaga pitches well tomorrow.
You say under?
Under, yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably lean the White Sox. I do think the Cubs are a little pricey here, and the White Sox bats, they've gotten to the last few lefties. They've been pretty strong against lefties all year. So I would probably side with Jones on this one. But it's weird also taking an under in this because like these games are shootouts between the White Sox and Cubs sometimes.
Well, a lot of the time, the last 3 games have went over 15, I think, or 11 at least.
Imanaga has hit 6 innings 4 times in the last 12 starts.
Yeah, but his last few at home: 7 against Minnesota, 6 2/3 against the Yankees, 5 strong innings against the Dodgers. This White Sox team sucks. You're a hater. You're a hater.
Complacency.
Also, is Seiya going to play? He ran into the wall today.
They use this as like a measuring stick series. It's like the Brewers. Like, they're not supposed to be here right now. They're going to be champing at the bit to get every one of these kind of meaningless wins.
Meaningless.
Dodgers, Rockies, last game on the board. Jones, what do you think here?
Rockies plus 2.5, minus 104. What are we doing? I mean, I get Rockies are traveling too. They're not staying home. Blake Snell coming in off of 1 start. We're going to lay 250 with him in this offense that I don't know if they even know how to play baseball. Like this team has been terrible for a long time. And I don't see that fixing tomorrow. Did Freeman play? I was like half asleep watching the game today, but he fell in that camera well. I wasn't sure if he'd be playing.
Freddie Freeman.
Okay.
He doesn't miss baseball games.
Okay. The Iron Horse, Iron Man, Freddie Freeman. But I mean, Sagano's win day. They're 10-2 in his last 12 starts. The offense has, been all right. They're not great, but Blake Snell, second start off of an elbow injury. We're going to lay 250 with him in a team that cannot hit or do anything. I'm not saying that the Rockies should win. I do think they can keep this close, plus 2.5 at -104. Sure. I mean, on paper, the Dodgers should win every game by 7-8 runs, but they're just simply not. They're just simply not right now, and their bullpen's been trashed. So it'd only be the Rockies for me.
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue the Dodgers bats, man. I mean, it is the Rockies, though. Where are you at, Toast?
It'd be over or pass for me. I'm well aware that neither one of these offenses are killing the ball right now, but I'm not in love with what I'm seeing from Sagano. I'm well aware that he has pitched well against some mediocre teams, but I just, again, not really sold on it. It's going to be, it's always good weather in Coors Field, but it's going to be 90 degrees with heavy wind blowing out. I think both these guys can give up runs. I don't know how long you're going to see Blake Snell. Like Trevor said, he's coming off of injury and going up into Colorado. It wouldn't be surprising to me if he only pitched a few innings. So over a pass. I have no actual interest.
Spoon, any interest?
I lean the opposite way. I saw some 11.5s early. They're already gone. I still feel like at 11, I want the under. Snell's pitched 10 times here in Coors throughout his career. He's got a ERA under 3. That's really impressive in a park like this. I feel like he knows how to pitch here, and we've seen it from Sagano this year. You would expect somebody that pitches in Coors to have a much worse home ERA than road ERA, but he's got an ERA sitting at 4 full season for home. I think the way the Dodgers bats are hitting right now, I think 11 is just too high of a number to ask. Sure, they're entering elevation, but there's some complications that come with that. You get more comfortable in the next couple days. I like this under. I think Snell and Sagano both pitch well. Maybe you keep it to a first 5 or first 3 so you don't include the bullpens that you don't like.
I have no interest in this game. I'm going to talk some college football. You guys talk to you tomorrow. All right. We've got I think like 6 or 7 topics lined up for tonight. We're really getting into it into the home stretch here before kickoff. What's up, man?
My man, how you doing?
Doing well. Just finished everything up. Got some NFL guests coming on this week. We're really September's right around the corner.
Getting down to it. Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like we got some interesting topics lined up. First one, we've got Western Michigan versus Michigan, and that is a week 1 matchup. But we're just going to preview both teams, and maybe we'll probably talk about the game too. Before we go to Western Michigan, I'm a little worried about Michigan's defensive front 7. This is a team that usually has a pretty set in stone identity, and you would think bringing in Kyle Whittingham, that just fits the mold, right? That's the same identity he had at Utah for years. Those tough, physical defensive fronts. They kind of lost everybody in the defensive front. Now it's hard. I'm sure if you're a Michigan fan, you're pretty excited for the offense, and I think you have every reason to be, with Bryce Underwood getting what I think everyone would agree is an upgrade in terms of a coaching staff with Beck and Whittingham and that offensive.
No, that's not even in question.
That's not a hot take. I think everyone agrees with that. So you got to be excited about that. The running back room is great. The offensive line, as long as it's healthy, should be very strong as well. So as far as the offense, I understand why there's a lot of optimism with Michigan, and I can get on board with it. Kind of have to see it to believe it, but we did see what Beck turned Dampier into, and he didn't have the best passing numbers at New Mexico. He did most of the damage with his legs. He was kind of an efficient
offensive line. That New Mexico offensive line was the worst in the country. Dampier was the same player at Utah, just had a competent offensive line.
But the point I was making is he was able to create it was more of a run-first offense. It was actually the most efficient rushing offense in college football last year with Utah. But Dampier was able to protect the football, didn't throw interceptions. He had a pretty efficient season through the air. And Bryce Underwood could really use that type of guidance. So I'm on board with the optimism with the Michigan offense. Again, I'm a little bit of like, I need to see it to believe it, but I can get on board with that. Schedule's brutal, as I'm sure you're going to talk about. The Michigan defense, am I crazy to be a little bit worried about this defensive front? I mean, I know it's Michigan. They always have a rock-solid defense, but kind of been trending the wrong way the last couple of years, and they kind of lost everywhere in this defense. Everyone on this defensive front. They bring in John Henry Daly, who, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be one of the best defensive players in the entire country. Other than him, this defensive front seven, I have some questions. So take us through Michigan Wolverines. Any agreements in what I said, disagreements?
I do, and I think we have to preview Michigan two different ways. We have to look at what Michigan's going to do this season, and then we have to look at what Michigan's going to do in this game against a MAC opponent who lost their entire defensive front and is going to look nothing like what carried them to the MAC title game last year. I think Michigan did an excellent job getting Kyle Whittingham to leave Utah. That is such a significant coaching staff upgrade, a team that needed stability, a calm presence, someone to procure some locker room culture that just wasn't there, almost boring. And that's exactly what they needed, and that's what they got. Jason Beck is coming over. They're going to bring a little bit of a more up-tempo spread attack. I agree. I'm not enamored with the roster. I don't know what I think of Bryce Underwood. 60% last year, 2,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 picks. Has he improved as a passer? If you ask anyone who's watched the spring game, they'll say no, and anyone who's looking at fall camp tape is also going to say no. I don't know if he'll be able to throw Michigan out of some of the tough situations that they'll find themselves in when they get into the rigors of Big Ten play, but I don't know if that's going to necessarily be a problem here. I like the running back room. Jordan Marshall's a good player. Savion Hyder is a guy that they really like. They won some recruiting battles to get him. I don't know what to expect of this receiver group. They've got playmakers in Marsh and JJ Buchanan, and they're going to take some deep shots. It's just a matter of if the quarterback can hit the receivers, and if the receivers are able to make plays. I kind of think they will be able to a little bit, at least in the non-conference against lesser opponents. Maybe not Oklahoma, but tight end room looks okay with Hogan Hansen back. Zach Marshall's in. I think those guys will be maybe the safety relief valve. Maybe you get those guys to just be able to catch some passes as the play breaks down or contribute in the run game. O-line is okay. They've got some size. They'll have to, they've got guys that are transferring in, and we'll see. It could actually end up shaking out to be a decent run blocking unit, and I think they won't have any trouble in the opener running the football. D-line, it's transfer reliant. You get Jonah Le'e in from Utah. John Henry Daly's in from Utah. I think they could be okay. They did lose a decent amount of production from last year's D-line, and you've got a couple guys that are trying to come back and make it from injury. So we'll see if the D-line is really any tougher. I'm kind of thinking, with Jay Hill's defense, it might take a year for the defense to fully come around and be kind of one of those prototypical Michigan defenses that we've seen in the past that's been really stout. I would guess they give up a little bit more than what we're used to seeing on the ground in Big Ten play, but again, I don't think that is something that we'll see kind of in the outlook of the game against Western Michigan. Linebacker, pretty inexperienced group, if we're being honest. Troy Bowles, Nathan Asowu, Nathaniel Stalling are probably maybe the three guys that they're the most excited about. Chase Taylor is a guy that can add some depth. Max Alford is an okay player who comes in. So they're kind of unproven. We're really going to be reliant on the North Dakota State transfer, Stalling. I don't know. I don't know if that skill set is going to translate here. So again, kind of could just be an average looking Big Ten linebacker room when it's all said and done. We'll see on the secondary. I think there are guys.
Secondary's good. I'm down. I'm down to co-sign the secondary. Yeah, I'm down to co-sign the secondary. It's the front seven that I have hesitations on.
And I think the hesitations are due. They're transfers from other programs that are going to have to try to piece this 4-2-5 together. And there's an opportunity for these guys, especially you get a couple non-conference games against teams that you should pound. sandwiching the Oklahoma game. Yeah, I could see it. I don't think this defense is going to be Swiss cheese like, Rutgers and some of the other defenses were last year, but there is a chance it takes a little bit of time to come together. Yeah, I don't think they're going to have any issues in the opener.
Well, actually, no. Do I think they're going to have issues against Western Michigan? Not really, but what I was really more referring to was the identity of Michigan. They're not a team that you picture struggling to stop 4-yard runs between the tackles, and with a weaker
not since Rich Rodriguez was there.
Exactly. That's not really what I think of when I think of the identity of Michigan as a team that's going to get kind of bullied on the defensive front. And maybe winning in comes in and maybe it's fixed. And maybe I'm looking at it on paper and it's not going to translate. But I'm a little worried about their defensive front. I could see them struggling to stop the run, especially early in the season. And speaking of which, Western Michigan was a team that could run the ball, although I don't know what they're trying to do. I'm reading they're trying to get back to throwing it like they did early last year, which was miserable. Western Michigan couldn't do anything offensively when they were trying to throw the ball. Then they switched and started running the ball nonstop, and then they went on to win the conference. So now I'm reading they're trying to get the pass going with Brock Lowry. I don't know if that's going to work. The offensive line should be pretty strong here for Western Michigan. They got Brock Lowry back. They've got a deep running back room. So all the pieces are in place for them to have a strong rushing attack once again. But I'm reading they're trying to throw it. Really tough to know what they have at wide receiver because they didn't really throw the ball much at all. When they did, it wasn't very successful. All their success offensively came on the ground. Oh, yeah, I actually have a graphic that shows it. See, those first 4 games, granted, against tough opponents, they're trying to throw the ball a little bit. Last 10 games, they got into their max schedule, but they were just handing the ball off, and nobody could stop it. So what are your thoughts on this Western Michigan offense? Do you have hope for Brock Lowry taking a step forward in terms of throwing the ball?
Not really, and I'll be honest with you. I think that Western Michigan is a team that their end-of-season performance winning the MAC, it's a little bit deceptive. They kind of caught fire down the stretch, but they beat Central Michigan by 3 points, Ohio by 4. They didn't pull away from Northern Illinois and Eastern Michigan until the fourth quarter. They were in a 7-3 game in the middle of the third quarter with UMass, and they were down 13-0 at the half against Toledo, came back to win. But it was a team that really was fortunate in their in-game situations. Now, you can say the harder they work, the more fortunate they get, but I kind of thought it was a little bit of a luck factor, and I really do wonder. I don't think the offensive line is going to be terrible, but I wonder if it looks for Western Michigan in this game like it looked like against Michigan State and Illinois, and these Big Ten fronts, even mediocre Big Ten fronts that Illinois possessed and Michigan State had last year, just completely made mincemeat out of these guys, and they absolutely could not do anything in either of those 2 games. And I just worry about Brock Lowry because when his team was trailing last year, he threw just 38 passes in that scenario. They didn't trail a lot in MAC play, but he didn't have to throw his team out of some uncomfortable situations, and I don't know that we're going to see that really be a good thing this year. I do like the running back room. I like Jalen Buckley. I like Matele. I like AJ Green. They've got some guys in the running back room that have a decent amount of pop. They did have a couple tight ends that left, and so they're going to have to try to revamp a little bit of the tight end room. And the receivers that they're going to rely on are going to be Avion Chenault, Balin Brooks, and I think it's Amazon Littlejohn, and those are really the top 3 guys. And there is a little bit of potency there if they can take some deep shots, but they just did not throw the ball nearly enough and nearly as proficiently as what anyone would have liked to see in order to get a good read on it. So this offense, I mean, if they're going to try and open it up, man, this is not the spot to do it at Michigan. But I do think we're going to get some Michigan pace. And when I look at Western Michigan, my most glaring concern with this team this year, which, by the way, I think Lance Taylor is a great coach, and the ascent that we've seen is I think it was coming at one time or another, but I worry if they can sustain that. Western Michigan allowed 3.7 yards per carry on the ground last year. That was the best number here in 10 years. 43 sacks they registered, better than the last 2 years combined, and everyone in the front is gone. And 17 of the top.
The DC's gone too.
The DC is gone as well. And so you're losing 17 of your top 23 tacklers overall. I would be stunned if these guys are anywhere close to as tough up front, and that was their calling card last year, especially when they got into MAC play. When you look at some of the way that these games went against Toledo, UMass, Ball State, Miami, Central Michigan, Ohio, the list goes on and on and on. They played so many rushing teams, and none of those teams could run the ball against Western Michigan, and so the defense shined. The defense smothered these offenses who couldn't throw their way out of trouble. And Western Michigan handed the ball off and grinded out these low-scoring MAC wins. Absolutely going to be a completely different story this year. I just do not see it. I will say there is some talent, right? There are warm bodies in the rooms, and Dwayne Eccles is a decent player coming in. Scoop Gardner and Xavion Tibbs along the defensive line are guys that can play the position, and I think they can be serviceable. But they're also going to have to step up and play outside of their capabilities, and they're going to be asked to log snaps that they were not asked to log last year. So, yeah, we'll see. Dominic Moon's another guy, and there's a couple JUCO guys that come in, Gabe Welch and Tegan Haynes at linebacker that they're going to be kind of reliant on. I, again, don't know necessarily if this is going to be as stout of a group as what we saw last season just because of the losses. Brendan Ains is another guy who comes in from the P4 who I think should get some snaps, but it's a rebuilt room, and it's going to take some time for this entire front to gel. Secondary is transfer heavy, and I really wonder, people think the secondary might have been good when you look at the metrics, but I think the secondary was good because the havoc in the front was so potent and opposing quarterbacks didn't hardly even have time to set up. I think without the threat of a real prominent pass rush, Western Michigan's secondary could get torched in this game and beyond. So I'm actually a seller of Western Michigan. I think that they lose 3 of their first 4 games in the non-conference. They may round into a feisty MAC team that's kind of in the mix. But we talked a little bit about some of the MAC teams early. And Toledo, Ohio, this team, I think that top tier in the MAC is kind of creeping back down to the pack, which opens up the door for some of those other MAC teams to kind of make some noise. So I bet Western Michigan under the win total of 7.5, and I would absolutely lay the number here in this spot with Michigan at home. Again, you just look at a Michigan team that's going to try to run some pace. They're going to be able to run the football. Western Michigan's depth in the second half is going to be awful. And again, I really want to go back to a really buttoned up, solid, senior-led offensive line last year, strong running game, strong quarterback. And the offense had everything it needed, and Michigan State and Illinois just completely made mincemeat out of these guys. They could barely achieve a first down and didn't even threaten ever scoring on offense. The only score, they lost, I forget what the scores were, 38-0 and 28-6 or something against Michigan State. Their only score came on a pick six. They didn't score an offensive point in either one of those games. So I really could. This is a big number, and Michigan's got some moving pieces, but in this game specifically, it's hammer drop time, 49-7 final.
Could not agree more, and I agree with basically the entire description you gave of the Western Michigan defense. It was the backbone of the team last year, and you were just talking about it. But just to give you an idea, Duck mentioned how good this Western Michigan defense was. So much of their production is gone. The DC is gone, and it's not like this program had a history of all these elite defenses under Lance Taylor before this. This was by far a crazy outlier. Western Michigan's defense has never been that good, not in years. So the DC is gone. All that production is gone. Are we expecting them to come even close to 2025? Look what the defense was doing the 2 years before Chris O'Leary came. By the way, Chris O'Leary is now on the Chargers staff in the NFL. So that's where he went. All right.
And deservedly so. I mean, the guy could coach defensive football, and you hit it right on the head. This defensive performance that we saw in 2025 from Western Michigan was a complete outlier. This is not a MAC team that has built their backbone on defense like Miami of Ohio and Toledo at times and some of those other MAC teams. This was their ascent under PJ Fleck was all offensive football, and it's been that way ever since.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
That
Connor Bazelak team, that defense was terrible. Oh, not Connor Bazelak, that's Bowling Green, because I have a Bowling Green. 2 years ago with who was that quarterback 2 years ago? The Western Michigan was pretty good. What was that quarterback's name? He was a starter there for 4 years. Why can't I think of his name? It's gonna piss me off.
No, I'll pull it up.
You know who I'm talking about, right? He was the starter
Yeah.
there for like 4. I think it was a 4-year starter.
Oh, Hayden Wolf.
Hayden Wolf. Yes, Hayden Wolf. But that team, that was all offense. They had no defense in 2024. All right. Speaking of Connor Bazelak, we're now on to Bowling Green, Eddie George's team. This offense was a disaster. It's never good when a head coach comes. Now, there are other circumstances involved here, but it's never a great look when a head coach comes in and then in year 2 already has 2 new coordinators. They fired Travis Partridge, I believe, got let go mid-season. And the defense coordinator, I don't even know what happened to Brandon Fisher. He's not there anymore, I guess. I'm not even sure. But there's 2 different coordinators now than they had last year. Bowling Green's offense was awful last year. Now, granted, we can cut them a little bit of slack. They did not have a healthy quarterback. Drew Pine was there, got hurt. Then they had another guy that got hurt. I believe their top 2 quarterbacks were out for the season by like week 7 or 8. So tough when you have those type of quarterback injuries. Do you have any hope for... First of all, on the other side of the ball, when we talk about Bowling Green's defense, we can get into some positive talking points about what Eddie George is doing. Because the defense was cool, and it was actually really strong down the stretch. I have it right here. So you can see their last 5 FBS games, Bowling Green was holding teams to under 38% success rate, under 5.2 yards per play. So if you're a Bowling Green fan, if you're an Eddie George fan, you can look at the defense as something to hang your hat on. They've got some strong edge rushers coming back for this year. So maybe you like what Eddie George is doing there defensively. But as far as the Bowling Green offense, do you have any hope for what they're trying to do? Because it was bad last year.
Yeah, I think what you have to factor is Eddie George, we knew he was going to run 12 personnel, even some 13 personnel, which is 1 running back, 2 or 3 tight ends. And that was such a staunch contrast from the previous style of offense that they ran. And he got inserted into the position in March. He was late to the game, didn't really have a great recruiting cycle, lost some players to the portal. And it was really only a partial install of the offense. I actually think that there's a chance that this offense could be more potent. Not explosive and eye-popping, but certainly tougher in the trenches. They're going to run the ball better. I think Novosad is a really good fit here and a guy that gives them at least a threat to be able to throw the ball, can move around a little with his legs. Austin Dendy,
is he definitely the starter, this guy? Is he 100% the starter? Because I thought it wasn't even confirmed yet. Or he's the starter?
I would imagine he wins the job over Hunter Najim or I forget the name of the other guy.
It's Castantine. He's from
Castantine. Yeah.
I heard they like Castantine, but yeah, all right. So it's this guy, Novosad. I had him as QB1, but I didn't know it was confirmed.
And it's not confirmed, but I would assume he wins. And it's a battle that they said they want to have linger deep into fall camp, so they may not even announce it until game week.
Yeah.
But I mean, Denji's a good running back, and
I like him.
Amatry.
I like this running back.
Really good.
Yeah.
You know, the receiver room is not as explosive. Win Sharp's going to get a pretty decent size of the target share, I would imagine. Isaiah Dawson's an okay receiver. Ridley comes in from the FCS level. And, you know, the thing about it is the tight end room is more important here, in my opinion, than looking at the receiver room. And so guys like Eli Jacone Duffy, Jeremy Scobie, Kentrell White, these are the guys that need to develop. And they have decent frames and decent size for MAC tight ends. And they're going to contribute in the run game is what they're going to do. They use a little flex motion and flex one of them into a fullback position from time to time. And, you know, really what it's going to come down to for Bowling Green is if the offensive line can come and go, and if these guys can step up. And I mean, they lost so many good players from last year's offensive line, and now you're replacing with transfers and guys that are just not as experienced. So like Alex Harris and James Thomas at the tackle positions, they are a little undersized, but they're going to have some quickness, which will help them in the run game. The guard play with Sanchez and Campbell, we'll see. And then Brody Bolin is in at the center position. I think they had 2 guys that were named to the preseason all-conference team, so they're projecting some of these guys to actually end up okay. But, you know, it's going to be – they're going to run the ball 2/3 of the time, and they're going to do some play action and take some deep shots or hit some crossing routes over the middle with the tight end. It's going to be kind of boring, but it's exactly the type of football that you would expect an Eddie George head coach team to run. And I actually think if they continue to provoke the physicality and the attitude on the offensive line, I think it could turn into a decent bunch. I do. Not great, but way better than the anemic unit that we saw last year.
So you sound
defensively is where it's at, though.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's get to the defense. So you sound a little bit more optimistic on Bowling Green's offense than I am looking at it. But on the defensive side, they took some losses, I think they have a couple of good linebackers here with Sanders, Ellis, and Pringle. Members coming off ACL. I think they have a couple of good a couple of good linebackers here. Eddie George's son and Miles Bradley at edge. I think their defense is going. I think their defense could be even better than it was last year, and it was really good down the stretch. I think they could have a great MAC defense. Sounds like you're in agreement there.
Wholeheartedly in agreement. If you just talk about the defensive trenches with Cade Costas, who comes in, he was at another MAC school last year, and he was a decent player. Eric George is going to take another step. Dior Gardner is a guy they like. Miles Bradley. They've got real dudes in the defensive line. I'm not going to say that they're going to be the best defensive line in the MAC, but for what they came from last year, this team is going to make significant strides, creating pressure, stopping the run, making quarterbacks have to either throw the ball, eat sacks, whatever else. This defensive line is going to be way better. And the linebacker room, Pringle is such a dude.
Yeah.
And getting him back and healthy, AJ Odom, Sanders Ellis, Andrew Hines, these are good MAC level linebackers. And this could round into one of the premier fronts in all of the MAC. And that'll help Bowling Green win football games, particularly when you look at how the MAC schedule shakes out, which we'll get into in a second here. But, even the secondary, I think, will really benefit from some more havoc. I don't think the secondary is full of guys that are great game-changing players, but it's not a terrible room at all. JoJo Johnson, Dre Braxton is in. Preston, Estoesta is a good player. Khalil Pascal is back. They've got some pretty decent proven commodities in the first string. And then you're getting Armon Hale, who comes over from New Mexico State. So it could be way worse when we've looked at some of these other MAC teams, and we'll look at another one here in a minute. Bowling Green's defensive personnel gives them a fighting chance to win some low-scoring games. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, I agree. And all the talk, well, not all the talk, but a lot of the talk surrounding Bowling Green's defense is they lost their main guy, Lamprin. That's their inside linebacker. He was one of the nation's leading tacklers, first team All-MAC. So they lost their main inside linebacker, and there's a lot of talk about that. But between Sanders Ellis and Dorian Pringle here, I mean, remember Sanders Ellis, Duck, he was what was it with Tennessee State? He was with Eddie George at Tennessee State. He was first team all conference as a true freshman in 2024 with Eddie George, with this staff.
Yeah, all Ohio Valley Conference.
Yeah, all Ohio, yes. And so he went to Purdue, didn't see the field a ton, but now he's back with the staff where as a freshman, he was first team all conference there. So I like him and Pringle, like you said, coming off the injury. Obviously losing Lamprin, who's one of the best defensive players in the conference, hurts, but I think they're, like you said, they're deep at linebacker. I love this defense. So I'm glad to hear we're in agreement there. Cool.
Yeah, and further going through the preview here, I'll just talk schedule, and I also want to shout out 518 people that have stayed up till 1:30 in the morning Eastern time watching live. Thank you, everybody. I think there are wins on the schedule. I thought that Bowling Green opened an incorrect underdog in the opener against Tarleton State, who was a great FCS program. They're being power rated as a top 10 FCS program. I have them 20th in my FCS power ratings. They lost so much production last year from an explosive offense. The offensive coordinator is gone, quarterback, receiver, running back, O-line, D-line. There is so much wrong with Tarleton State to start the season. They've since flipped to the favorite. I like the under in that game. Got it at a little better number, but I think there's still some 48 or some 47.5 out there between Bowling Green and Tarleton State.
You think so 48 you think is playable still? Because I'll tell you on that. I don't know anything about Tarleton State, so 48.
Yes, the Tarleton State's going to be formidable in the defensive trench and will make Bowling Green work for it, but I think Bowling Green's defense will have significant advantage there.
See if we can get it.
And you're not going to see explosive plays. It's going to look a lot like Bowling Green's opener last year against Lafayette, who had kind of a fun, high-flying Patriot League offense, and the final was 26-7. And I think that we'll see something similar. I could see 26 17 or 24-17, I guess would be a more common football score, 27-17, but not exceeding 48.5. They're going to take their lumps at Nebraska, at Iowa State, or probably some fade spots, although depending on what Iowa State looks like, maybe Bowling Green's catching enough points. And then they gotta go to Miami of Ohio to open MAC play. But then if you look at the rest of the schedule, hosting Sac State, hosting Ball State, going to Buffalo, those are 3 winnables. So if Eddie George can keep the troops, keep them engaged and keep their heads into it, they might start 1-4, and just before you know what hit them, they could end up 4-4. And then you're playing Kent and UMass to try to get to a bowl game. I wouldn't be stunned at all. I don't think this is a great team, and I don't think this is a team that's going to contend to threaten to get to the MAC title or anything, but their win total's 4.5, and I think there's some decent upside here. So I could see this team being better than expected here for sure.
I also think they steal one of these 2 road games back-to-back, Buffalo and Western Michigan. I'm not really particularly big on either of them, so I think they could steal one of these.
Yeah, and if anyone's making notes for later on, I think it's a good exercise going through the schedule line by line. Bowling Green at Western Michigan is an under. Bowling Green at Toledo is probably an under. And Bowling Green Ball State is an under.
Bowling Green versus blank is an under. Their defense is awesome, and I can't move the ball. Well, you sound more optimistic about their offense than I don't really trust their offense. I love their defense, though. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk Stanford. Stanford. Let's get my notes open for Stanford. Oh, no. I'm kind of big on Stanford. Andrew Luck is like all in, hands-on.
Coach Luck.
So I was trying not to because you're reading what's coming out of camp, and a lot of times you're reading things from people that are pro Stanford, right? People that are giving reports on the Stanford staff. Or I was drinking the Kool-Aid, man. I think this Stanford team's pretty good. Am I crazy to have a glimmer of hope that Stanford might be pretty good this year? I know the win total's 3.5. I think they've got some talent on this team.
Yeah, and we saw this team play really stingy football at home. They beat Florida State, they beat California, and they really on the road hung with Miami for a half. I know that it doesn't matter because the final is the final, but I think it was 7-7 at half with Miami. And last year was a much worse Stanford team with a horrific quarterback in Gilbranson and very poor coaching. I don't think it's all bad here. I think this room, with the coaching that they're receiving, with Andrew Luck at practice, engaged with the team every day, I think Davis Warren can shine. I think their quarterback play is going to be much better than what we saw last year, where they were at BYU and couldn't complete a pass, couldn't get a first down. Micah Ford, Cedric Irvin, really good running backs. But I'm telling you what, Sauce, the secret weapon here, and I'm glad we're talking about this. When Stanford calls out 13 heavy and they're all yelling fish, fish, fish on the sideline, they're going to hand the ball 3rd and short, 4th and short, 4th and inches on the goal line. Tuna Altier is the guy who's getting the ball. 6 feet, 245-pound running back, and good luck trying to see Hawaii's guys tackle this guy in 3rd and short. It's going to be the Tuna show on the goal line, and they are going to score touchdowns in the red zone. But beyond that, Nico Brown is a dude who comes in from Yale, Carter Shaw, Caden High. It's actually a fairly decent receiver group that can catch some passes. Look at this tight end room. Benji Blackburn, 6'6", 260. Chico Holt, 6'5", 255. Aiden Black, 6'4", 240. Again, man, I've used this vernacular with a lot of different teams because this is kind of the direction the college leagues are going, but it's 12 and 13 personnel. We're going to see tight ends. We're going to see these guys run the football, and they're coming after Hawaii. Look at the offensive line. 2 guys that are 6'7", 2 more that are 6'5". Everyone's over 300 pounds. They got stronger in the weight room. It's going to be a strong ground attack. Buttoned up offensive unit. It's not going to be flashy. It's not going to make a lot of wow factor highlight plays, but this is going to be a fun group.
They've got 7 guys here that can start on this offensive line. I couldn't even hammer home who I thought was going to be started. They got this guy Killstrom from Harvard, over 1,400 snaps at Harvard. He was Ivy League honorable mention. I've got him on the bench right now. He might end up in the starting lineup. Look at this. Prongos over 1,200 career 1,200 career snaps. Fatigue's a 4-star from Texas Tech. Fisher Anderson over 1,100 career snaps. Pale here on the right guard. He's over 1,500 career snaps. Khalil House over 1,400 career snaps. They're deep. They've got size. The offensive line's good. The running back room is 4 deep. The wide receiver room doesn't jump off the page, but from everything I'm reading, they're loving their wide receivers. They're loving their tight ends. They're huge. Davis Martin just has to give you average. I mean, Davis Martin. I think I'm in baseball mode. Davis Warren just has to give you average quarterback play. I'm glad. I don't know if you were just trying to gas me up, but I'm pro. The more I'm reading, I'm pro Stanford.
I want to talk about this as part of the early bets I have on these guys too. You know, the defense, you're getting 7 guys that are back from last year. It's actually a decent bunch that's coming back. Ernest Cooper, Tavaro Tafidi is back. Zach Roll on the defensive line. You get Omar Staples and Joe Asian that are in the mix. I think that you're going to see a defensive front that plays more together as a unit. They'll stop the run a little bit better. I think they'll create a little more havoc, which will really, really aid the secondary. Matt Rose was second team all ACC last year at linebacker. He's back. Josiah Galvin is back. I actually think the linebacker group could be a fairly decent ACC unit. I don't think that's too far-fetched. You don't have to squint too hard to look at that. The secondary's buttoned up. You know, I think Tree has really good safeties. Jay Green, Darius Davis, Scotty Edwards would rotate. He could play a little bit of nickel. The corners are big and physical. There's a lot to like.
I'm telling you. And look at the edge. I know the pass rush wasn't great last year, but the edge rushers they got coming back, 1,700 career snaps, over 1,000 career snaps. You mentioned them. They're experienced as hell. I got people in the comments saying I'm betting over wins the way Kyle's hyping him up. I wasn't trying to give like a sales pitch. I'm just saying I was looking at this team, and every single thing I kept looking into was like, damn, I kind of like this team. And then I looked at something else. I was like, damn, I kind of like this team. I'm pro Stanford. I'm a Stanford guy this year.
Bet the win total if you want to, but bet them in week 0. You talk about a team that has momentum and has a desire to really put a number on a team that they completely gift wrapped and handed the game to Hawaii last year, and a much more potent Hawaii offense with all the good receivers and a better offensive line and a way better defense. Should have lost at home, and now they're traveling where they're not nearly as good away from the island. And this isn't a Hawaii preview, but Hawaii's defense at all 3 levels is going to be way down. They're not going to be nearly as tough against the run. All those linebackers from last year are gone. There are pieces in the secondary that are missing for Hawaii. 3 of their top 4 receivers are gone, and the guy that's back, Pafele Ashlock, is out for fall camp and may not play in the opener. And with the receiver position at Hawaii, it's the run and shoot offense. It's a unique scheme. There's a reason a lot of teams don't run it anymore. The way that the concepts are called are not as though they're calling traditional pass concepts. You're going to start with an idea of what you might run as a receiver, but after 3 or 4 steps, you have about 3 different route options that you could run based on the coverage that you see. And so those plays are changing all the time, and it's up to the quarterback and the receiver to see it together. It's just very complex. It's hard. Anyone who thinks the receivers are just plug and play at Hawaii, absolutely not the case. It takes years to master that system. And we've seen Hawaii rotate through receivers, and they've struggled year after year after year with getting it right, which is partially why Timmy Chang's first 3 seasons were terrible. I don't think Hawaii has staying power. I actually think they take a step back this year. I don't trust Alejado to play a full 12 games. But in this game specifically, they are going to get bullied. This is a team that has big dudes. They've got to be fairly pissed off that, you know, people take their shots at Stanford as being a crappy team and at the bottom of the ACC. But this is an opportunity for these guys to absolutely put a big number on Hawaii. There is 0 resistance in the trenches for these guys when they want to line up and run the football. Again, 3rd and short, 4th and short, goal line to go. It's absolutely tuna time, and these guys are going to score a lot of points. 4.5, 5.5, lay the number with Stanford.
Yeah, the Stanford offensive line is huge. They've got 4 running backs, 3 of them physical as hell. I mean, how is Hawaii's defensive front going to get off the field? And I think they could beat up on Hawaii only dropping back to pass 15 times if they wanted to. So yeah. I'm in agreement, and I've become pro Stanford. Looking at the schedule, you see makes a little bit more sense why Stanford's win total is 3.5, though, when you look at the schedule. It makes a little, I mean, Wake was tough last year. Georgia Tech, that's winnable, man. They're a step down. So it makes, when you see winning at 3.5 wins, you're like, what the hell? They look pretty good. Then you look at the schedule, it makes a little bit more sense. So, yeah, I don't hate over 3.5 wins, too.
Well, and I mean, if you look at that schedule, you get Georgia Tech at home, down year, replacing both coordinators. Everybody likes Alberto coming in from Indiana, but if he was that great, Cignetti would have kept him around. So I think Georgia Tech is in some major trouble. You get Elon at home, that's a win. I mean, I like NC State, but you get NC State at home, and if you think it's just that easy to go all the way out there and play a game, just ask the teams like Florida State, and there's other teams that have gone out there and just really thrown up complete stinkers. I mean, SMU went to Cal last year with everything to play for and lost, so I wouldn't just pencil that SMU game in as a loss either.
Look what SMU has right before it. Did you see? So SMU comes all the way out to the West Coast to play Stanford. You know what they have today?
Notre Dame
at South Bend. I'm betting Stanford money line coming off of that battle at South Bend.
I wouldn't be stunned. They can beat California. They could beat Wake Forest. I mean, I don't want to call for a bowl game, but I would only look over 3.5. And you know, I got something else to ask you. Getting 24
we already bet
week 1
against
Miami? I know, but are you kidding me? Like, that line continues to move.
What did we get? Like 27? What did we get? We bet it like a month ago.
I think it was right around like 23.5, 24.
Oh, no. Yeah. All right. So it's still at the same number?
It might be. It's bounced around a little bit.
That was one of the first ones we placed was Stanford plus the big number.
I know I've had it for 2 months. Who's laying 24 with Miami on the road in that spot?
All the way out in the West Coast? Hell no.
No.
Let's move on to
seeing that the same.
I moved this right along to Boise, which it's such a weird team because based on my personal perception, if you asked me like, hey, how was Boise season last year? I would say, it's kind of disappointing. But they won the Mountain West.
Very disappointing, though.
They won the conference. So, like, but you would have to say year one with Potter at OC was disappointing, especially since considering what they're used to here at Boise. It was the worst offensive season they've had in a while. Maybe 2021 is up there. But this is year 2 for Nate Potter, so maybe year 2 with the OC take a step forward. I really don't know what I think about this team. I mean, the quarterback's back. The running back room is great. No one's going to debate that. Even anti-Boise State people are going to agree with that. They've got 3 solid offensive linemen. There's a couple holes to fill. I'm sure Duck's going to take us through it. As far as wide receivers, they don't really have a wide receiver 1. I mean, maybe Ben Ford if he could stay healthy. So I have questions on who's catching the passes here for Boise State, or maybe who's going to establish themselves as the main wide receiver there. I like the quarterback coming back. Matson's cool. Maybe a little bit of a down here. He was also injured for a few games. I don't know what my opinion is on Boise State. So and also the defense last year. Look at the numbers. Boise State's defense was excellent. But if you actually look at the game logs, they kind of got lit up in the games where they needed the defense to be good. They were also very reliant on turnovers. I don't have the stat in front of me, but Boise State, I believe, was 0-4 in games where they forced 0 turnovers. And then like 8-0 in games where they forced the turnover. Don't quote me on that. It's something like that, where they were very reliant on turnovers. So I don't even know how if the defense was even quite as good as the numbers showed. So I'm very skeptical about Boise State. 1, what we saw last year, and 2, what we have coming into this year. So take us through Boise State. Where are you at with this team?
Well, you know, it's interesting. They move leagues. Them and 5 other teams from the Mountain West are going to the Pac-12. They're joining Texas State, Washington State, and Oregon State. So, you know, it's an 8-team league. They're the best team in this league by about a touchdown over anybody else. I think Maddox Madsen, I mean, he's really the best option that they have. And coming back from injury, he should be a little bit more effective. The drop-off between him and Max Cutforth is huge, so you really have to keep this guy healthy. But he's got some dual threat. He can create on the move and throw the ball on the move. Really, though, for Boise State, their offense is purely predicated up on the run game. Sire Gaines, Dylan Riley, Jules Goff, they have to get these guys moving downhill. They use a lot of tight ends. They've got a big offensive line. They have to run the football, and they generally do that fairly well at home. Ben Ford is probably the wide receiver number one after the losses. They had huge losses last year. Caples and Chris Marshall leaving, it left a noticeable void. Now, there's another guy that they like in the receiver room, Q Monty Williams, who could be okay along with Cameron Bates. But it's a notch down. They need their tight ends to be pass receivers, and Matt Wagner could be a guy who replaces a guy like Matt Lauder in that situation and does that. Caden Anderson is another guy that could turn into a pass receiving tight end, and they throw the ball to their running backs out of the backfield a decent amount as well. So the pass game probably will not be as explosive, but I think the running game will be fine outside of the opener. Defensively, we'll see. There are some significant losses on the defensive line. Jaden Virgin Morgan is a guy that they are really going to rely on. Max Steege and David Letu are also guys in the front.
Real quick, on that note, is there any word on that guy? There was one guy that was waiting for an eligibility. Did that get ruled on yet? Damn it, I forget I should have wrote down his name. They had another defensive player that was waiting to hear, and I as of a few days ago, they still didn't hear. One of their defensive players from last year is waiting to hear on eligibility. I was wondering if you heard an update on that, but
is that part of the 2022 ruling where those guys were given an extra year? So nothing. I haven't heard anything on that. And
so there's one piece on their defensive line that they could be getting back last minute, but I'm not sure. My bad. I didn't mean to break your flow there.
No, that's all right. So, there are a couple of pieces. We saw the havoc and sack numbers in 2024 just off the charts, and then last year they took a dip. I think they'll probably be about the same as they were last year. There's some decent depth and some good pieces here. I actually think that they're in okay shape. Not the best defensive line in the G6, but I think they could be okay. Linebacker is probably the most questionable unit on this team, as they had some decent losses last year, and now they have to replace with guys like Bowen Phelps, Jake Ripp, Logan Brantley. We'll see. I think that it's a linebacker group that the scheme allows for a little bit of forgiveness, but these guys have to be able to stop the run. They're going to make a lot of tackles, and we'll see. I'd say it's probably an average Pac-12 type. When you factor in the rest of the defenses in this league, probably an average linebacker room. But the secondary is buttoned up. Sherrod Smith is a good player. Derek Gainter is a good player. Jaden Mickey is a good player. And they get Roman Tillman, who comes in from the University of South Dakota. He is a very physical corner who will probably play inside at the nickel position. And the nickel is a very versatile and important position in the 4-2-5. He might walk up on the line of scrimmage and then rush the quarterback. He can drop in to cover the flats. He'll be in on the run-stopping unit. So secondary-wise, I actually think Boise State is quite strong. I think that this could end up being an okay defensive unit. I'm still kind of TBD on Eric Chinander, their defensive coordinator, on how good he really might be. But I don't know. I kind of think their defense could end up being okay given the circumstances. Regarding the schedule for Boise State, so I would lean over this win total of 7.5, but where you bet this is important. And I think we talked about this before, but the Pac-12 is doing flex scheduling at the end. So that game at the end is TBD. I know they have an opponent in there now, but it's really TBD, and that could change. And so some of the shops are factoring in 12 games to resolve these regular season win totals. Other shops are factoring in only 11 games to resolve. So you don't want to bet over 7.5 at one of those shops that's resolving on 11 games. You want to get that extra game. And so the place to bet this would be MGM, because they have over 7.5 and they use 12 games to resolve. I think Boise is going to get blasted in the opener. Everybody loves Boise State. It's a big point total. The prior history between these teams calls for a close game, but they will not be able to run the football on Oregon's front. And I don't think they can throw their way out of unfavorable 3rd and long, 2nd and 14. If they get to the red zone and it's, they're on the 18-yard line and you can't run the ball, so you have to throw it. I think they're kicking field goals.
Or throwing picks. That's a beatdown.
Or throwing picks. I know it's a big number. Everybody loves Boise State to kind of go in there and play them tough like they did a couple of years ago and yada, yada. But I cannot see them scoring any more than 10 points And Oregon's offense is going to be so much more potent because of all those receivers coming back from injury. All the guys in the receiver room for Oregon that were hurt last year, either in fall camp or very early on, they never played. And so Oregon's offense at times was stuck in the mud. They couldn't throw the ball. They didn't have the explosivity. All that changes with the 4 receivers that are in the room. Oregon is very, very dangerous, and their defensive front will really wreak havoc on Boise State. So I would lay the big number with Oregon, and then I think it's 4 consecutive play-on spots for Boise State. I love them against Memphis in week 2, which is actually Memphis's 3rd game. They have to go out to Vegas, and then they play kind of one of their lesser-known rivals in Arkansas State. It's a regional rival. They're only an hour away. There's some sort of trophy that they play for that I can't recall it right now. And then they got to go back out to Boise State at night on the blue turf, just a complete DOA spot. So I will drop the hammer on Boise State there. They'll blast the University of South Dakota, who's been a perennial top 10 FCS team, but they are way, way down, and their coaching staff is gone and going through some player personnel stuff. At Western Michigan is a spot to bet the Broncos, but it's the Boise State Broncos you want to bet, not the Western Michigan Broncos. And then they're hosting Utah State in Pac-12 league play, and that's a play-on spot for Boise. The blue turf has been a house of horrors for Utah State over the years, and I think that is a defense that will not be able to.
It's a new era of Utah State with Bronco Men. I like Bronco Mendenhall though, but
I like Bronco Mendenhall too. They overperformed last year, and they only beat one team with a winning record. But
it was year 1. Like, what were you really? All right. If you give me a big number, I wouldn't be mad at the Aggies there.
14?
17 and a half.
Regarding the last part of the preview here, regarding the conference futures, because I actually think Fresno State can be very feisty. I think Texas State, if they pull an upset on the road, it's not going to be against Boise State on Halloween. That's another spot where you want to play the Broncos. But I think Texas State could be in the mix. San Diego State's defense is way down. There's a couple of things you could do with the conference, but the books now for the last couple of years have left the futures pricing up all season. So they're about plus 170 to win the conference now. I would wait on that until they get blown out by Oregon. That could balloon to plus 220. Bet Boise to win the conference after this non-conference opening round blowout. You'll get a better price.
So I didn't have the line. He said over 7.5 wins, but I don't have like the line shopping available. So if you're doing that, obviously he said go to MGM. Make sure you take a sportsbook that's giving you those full 12 games. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what sports books I can or cannot say. I think FanDuel's resolving on 12. I think Caesars is resolving on 12. DK notably is resolving on 11. But MGM for the longest time, I'll look it up here real quick because they had 7.5 to the over resolving on 12 games, and they currently do have that. It's a bit juicy for my liking, but at MGM you get 7.5, you get all 12 games. I think 8-4 is the number at a minimum. It might be 10-2 again, but I think 8-4, 9-3 is probably right for these guys.
Let's head on over to the next game. And obviously going into the college football season, we're all going to be right and wrong about a bunch of different teams. I got to say I was pretty right about Buffalo. Everybody loved Buffalo last year. Disappointing season.
I did.
Yeah, it wasn't just you. It wasn't just you. I'm saying like almost every single sharp college football head that I listened to, like Buffalo. I didn't like Roberson, the quarterback. So it was a very disappointing season for Buffalo. They had some high expectations. They finished 5-7. The offense was bad. 106th in success rate, 113th in PPA per play. And this is with Al-Jay Henderson at running back, who's no longer there. This is with what was perceived to be a very strong offensive line heading into the season. So very disappointing year for Buffalo. I wrote down 4 words for this offense. I have no idea. So you're going to have to take us through this because I was having trouble even figuring out who is going to be starting here at these positions for Buffalo. So take us through the Buffalo offense because is it Jason Wright? That's who I'm reading. Is that the quarterback?
Still in a camp battle with him and Elijah Holmes, who they liked coming out of spring, and I think Coron McNeil is the clear third string, but it's Jason Wright or Elijah Holmes. And I'll start with this. Buffalo last year was the most stinky team you could ever imagine. They had so much talent. They had such a promising start where they went to Minneapolis and competed with Minnesota, covered the number, looked great doing it. They blasted St. Francis of PA in another game they covered. And everything was kind of rolling. And then they go to Kent. They eke out a win. They were down 3 touchdowns before you could blink an eye. And they get the win. They kind of get out of jail free. And they were up against Troy with a backup quarterback, 17-0 halfway through the fourth quarter. And they lost, and their season went into a tailspin. They got blasted. They lost a close one against UConn, but they got blasted the last 3 weeks. You talk about a team that has absolutely no heart, absolutely no want to. They just laid down and died, and it was just sickening. And it started and ended with the quarterback play. Roberson was awful, but you saw so many other things. Dropped interceptions by guys that had wobbly passes right in their hands, couldn't catch it. Receivers running out of bounds with nobody else around. The inept quarterback play. It was some of the most bizarre stuff last year I've ever seen. I don't know if either one of these quarterbacks, I don't think they addressed the problem. Elijah Holmes comes in from the Division II level, and then Jason Wright is a freshman who's never played. So whatever sort of quarterback play you're going to get, you have to imagine that Buffalo is going to line up and try and run the football. And you know what? They don't have L.J. Henderson, and they don't have anyone that's even close to comparable. They are way weaker at running back. Terrence Shelton and DeVare Mathis are okay. Maybe Messiah Birch gets some touches. We'll see. But there is not top-end wow factor here like Buffalo running backs have provided over the last 12 years. I just don't think they have it. Receivers, McMillan and Victor Snow are out. Josiah Gathings is a good pickup coming over from UConn. He's a guy that I think can catch some passes here, but what about the rest of the bunch? Patrick Clax, Philip Fulmer, Chance Morrow. They're just it's a C- level MAC receiving group, and there's just not a lot of wow factor. I can't imagine Buffalo's passing explosiveness will be as anywhere close to what it was last season.
Not losing those 2 guys. There was the only 2 offensive weapons they had. Besides, all their offensive weapons are gone from last year, and their offense was terrible last year.
Well, and the backfill is poor. Again, I think Josiah Gathings is a decent receiver coming over from Connecticut, but the backfill was poor. The offensive line, 4 guys that started last year are gone, and it was such an underperforming bunch. You look at the rushing yards and some of the havoc. There was so much unrecognized havoc in the metric sheets and in the box score because Roberson was able to at least wiggle out of it and throw the ball away or scramble for 2 yards, but the havoc numbers were outrageous. Pass protection was awful. 18 sacks given up the last 5 weeks. This team needed to win one more game to get to a bowl game, and they couldn't protect the quarterback the entire last month of the season. And the rushing offense during that stretch of time was horrendous. So now you're getting Tyron Davis, who gets elevated from the second platoon to play right tackle. Gabriel Arena gets elevated at the left tackle. Nico Fansavala gets elevated to play center. Alex Henninger is back at right guard. He was out last year with injury after some time. I think his season got cut short by about 3 games. So can he return to form? It's possible. And then you got a freshman who's elevated to play one of the interior guard spots. It's a young group. I don't think it's going to be much better than they had last year, and that could be such a problem. The offense could be such an eyesore.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was bad last year, and I'm like, it's got to be better. I don't know if it's
not going to be better.
No, it's bad, this
the
offense.
Portal, well, it was a horrific portal churn. When you look at all the guys that they lost, Red Murdoch was an exquisite defender. Solomon Brown graduated. Deion Crawford was a great linebacker. Jalen McNair, who bailed to go to Virginia, and Capo and James Carlton, and there was just so many guys that were on this defense and offense. But the defense, I don't think we're going to see the front 7 be nearly as tough. They lose 11 of the top 14 tacklers overall. There are too many missing pieces from last year's fairly stout
Did I
defensive
do
bunch.
this right? Am I seeing like Division II starters on this defensive line, like Logan Goodwin? And,
Plenty of them.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Will Clark is a guy they like, and then they have another guy, Cornell Evans, who he may round into a fairly decent defender. Cave Oliver comes over from the FCS level. Cedric Vese is another guy. Inexperience at D tackle, so who wins the job? I don't love the depth, so I would imagine these guys are probably going to get run on. So different than the defensive line that we saw at the start of last season.
It was the strength.
Linebacker. It was, and now it's not going to be this year.
Yeah.
Linebacker, Steve Bracey, Zach Bergman. These are guys that are transferring in that they hope they're going to produce. I do think Savion Brown is a good player. He's a versatile player. They run a 4-2-5. A lot of defenses are going to this 4-2-5 look. And so they use a nickel back, and they can play that person as kind of an outside linebacker, walk them up on the line of scrimmage, run some bump and run, drop back in coverage. There's a lot of things that they'll try to do. But Savion Brown is a guy who can do a lot of that stuff. So he could be in on a decent amount of tackles. He was last year. The secondary, probably the strength of the defense, I would say. Miles Greer is back after 74 tackles last year. He's another guy who will rush the quarterback. He'll play some physical coverage with receivers. Kobe Blackwell is a guy who's back who could be okay. Keontae Bradley is back. So the corners look okay. I think the safety position is shored up as long as Ronell Davis plays better, and he got a little bit of time last year. So certainly the strength of the defense is going to be in the secondary, but the problem with that, Sauce, is go to the schedule and look who the lineup of teams are that they play. FIU has made a concerted effort to run the ball, and they're going to run it better this year. Penn State, Western Michigan's a running offense. Toledo, Bowling Green, even the bad teams, Bowling Green, Ball State, Central Michigan, these are all running teams. I don't think these guys can get stops on the ground. I really don't, and I don't think it's a defense that has a lot of producing depth. And so I'm going to seek to fade this team against everybody that I just mentioned there in the schedule. Fade against Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Ball State, Central Michigan, Toledo, Western, Penn State, the list goes on. I think this team stinks. Even with two FCS opponents, I don't think they make a bowl game. Under 5.5 on the win total.
Wow, what a 180 from last year. I mean, I'm in agreement with you, but so I'll just put under 5.
When you get, and here's the thing, anybody who's listening in, we still have 458 people doing that. Thank you. If you do your own power ratings and you're trying to predictively figure out what could happen in the future, you have to have tolerance to be able to upgrade and downgrade teams more significantly now than ever before. I've been doing this almost 20 years, and I've even had to force myself to be tolerant. And the other thing to take away is the staying power at the G6 level is impossible to maintain because these rosters are turning over 45, 55, 65 players from year to year. When teams formulate this makeup of who they are, it could be completely different year to year. And in Buffalo, that's the case. This team was built on strong defense, and this year's defense is going to be Swiss cheese, particularly in the front. You talk about special teams as well. Buffalo special teams, generally a calling card under Pete Lembo. It was garbage last year. They had a few decent returns, but the kick coverage units were bad. Punting was bad. This not a lot to like here with the Bulls.
Yeah, that I watched several Buffalo games last year, and it was unimpressive. But speaking of unimpressive, let's talk 49ers football. But Tim Albin comes out here. I still think they should have stuck with Biff. I don't think they gave that a fair trial. I know that he's a lot to deal with at times. He's a little bit extra, but Charlotte's got money. They're putting in like a brand new observation thing on their stadium. They've got some money out there. I think a loud, obnoxious head coach kind of fit the mold a little bit, but that's the past.
Can I tell you why Biff was the right? Here's how you know concretely that Biff was the right choice. They fired Biff after the South Florida game. And, Biff independently is a millionaire. He has a lot of money from what he used to do as a profession before getting into coaching. So the guy doesn't have to be accountable to anybody to operate his financial life. And they fired him. And the next day he showed up at practice and he sat in the stands and watched it. And the entire team rallied around that. And they all went around him in the stands after the practice and gave him a hug. And he stayed and watched practice and just hung out. And what did they do? They won their last 2 games against Florida Atlantic and UAB to cap off a disappointing season in 2024. But you're absolutely right. They fired Biff way too quickly.
It was like, 17 games or something? With what he had no talent. What were they expecting him to do right away with that roster? I really would have liked. Nothing against Tim Albin, but there was a weird hire because Tim Albin came in and didn't bring anything with him. Like his whole staff stayed in Ohio. Whatever. We don't. This isn't a Biff show, but yeah, that's the first thing. Yeah, that's the first thing that always comes to mind when I'm going to talk about this Tim Albin Charlotte team. Is, man, I wish Biff was still here because I really would be curious to what this team would look like. So yeah, as Doug mentioned, wasn't a great season. 1-11. So this is another team where I don't think they named the starting quarterback, but judging from what I'm reading, I think it is going to be Cole Gonzalez. Is that correct?
I haven't heard. The guy that they want to build the offense around is Connor Harrell, who won't be back until halfway through the season. So, yeah, it's going to be, Grayston Loftus was here last year and didn't play very well, but was kind of thrown into it. Cole Gonzalez is the guy I think that they really probably will end up going with and want to go with. I have not heard it been named. I haven't heard them call on anyone yet. It's still kind of neck and neck, but I would anticipate it's Cole Gonzalez who gets the call in week 1.
Would take us through the rest of the offense here.
Well, all right. So this is going to be really a struggle because their offense was not good last season, really in any way. But you are getting Chance Williams, who's back. Jareel Cobb and Kamani Alexander are decent running backs. They're guys that have a little bit of wiggle. They're not the greatest running backs in the conference, but they're guys that actually have a fairly decent amount of pop. I think there's a chance that this team runs the ball a little bit better. We'll get into that in a little bit because they really do have to. But receivers are actually – there's a couple guys to like that transfer in. Cam Pedro, Tank Boston, Jaden Barnes are all decent receivers, and they do have a fairly decent pass receiving tight end in Gus McGee. And so when you're just trying to piece together incremental improvement from a team that was so bad last year and just so up against it week in and week out, I mean, the last 3 weeks of the season, they scored a combined total of 10 points against UTSA, Georgia, and Tulane. So you're really trying to grasp at straws here with this team. But
against Georgia, though. They covered.
They did. They did. They did cover against Georgia, and that's a nugget for – we'll have some Georgia nuggets as we get closer to the season with 40-point spreads. But so, I think there is some pop in the skill rooms. I think when you get guys like even Derek Ely, who is an explosive kick returner, they do have some weapons at both receiver and running back more than they have in the past. The offensive line is a huge question, and it's really a unit that has to get better. So Javen Williams and Christos Fernandez are the guys that are slated to potentially grab the tackle spots. Dom Silva, Cody Taylor, and Rod Green on the interior. They do have some decent size, and some of these guys were fairly regarded out of high school. Some of these were 3-star athletes. Javen Williams was a 5-star recruit. And you get guys where they play at the P4 level, it doesn't work out, and then some of them end up transferring down to lower levels. This is kind of a group that, Sauce, they were so bad last year, 78 yards per game against FBS competition on the ground, and they gave up 28 sacks. So I don't know. They have to be able to run the football better because they were just so up against it with having to throw the ball, and they didn't have a quarterback that could really get it done. I also think Luke Sandy is a decent get, the guy they got from Wyoming who played a decent amount there. But you've got guys that transfer in from Maine, Long Island, a JUCO guy comes in along the offensive line, and then you're getting a guy who was at Penn State as a backup. They're really going to have to figure it out quickly. And again, this team has to be able to run the football. It was just something they could not do. Again, only 78 yards against FBS competition per game. It was the worst in the country. If we want to go through the D line here, there's a group that could be okay. DJ Burgess coming back from injury, I think will be big. Jaden Johnson, Jamarion Solomon, they're decent players. They got another guy, D-Nas White, who was a Florida State transfer. He could plug some holes in the run game, 335-pound dude. So I could see a defensive line that could be a little bit tougher. It's not to suggest this team's going to be an ironclad defense, but better than what they were last year on the defensive.
I thought the defensive line looked much better right now than it did last year going into the season. I remember last year I had no idea who was even playing on the defensive line going into the season. So the fact that I have like 6 or 7 names that I know are going to be playing is just an improvement from where we were last year.
Well, and they had 0 pass rush last year. They only, if you guys can think about this for a minute, they played an entire 12-game season. They played 11 games against FBS competition. Factor out the FCS game, they had 10 sacks all season against FBS competition. And when your offense is only averaging 11 first downs per game on the road and your defense has no pass rush, the back 7 just gets hung out to dry. But where I'm going with this is they actually did a decent job in preventing explosive plays. For Charlotte, it was not nearly as bad as you would expect. We all can recall the games against South Florida and North Texas where they were just getting shredded. But they actually did. They were 67th nationally, which was about dead average in my explosiveness surrendered metric. So, there was a little bit here to like in the back end. And at linebacker, you're getting Caden Schmitz, who's back, Gavin Willis. They're decent players. They're not overly sizable. They're not overly fast with the speed, but they play very hard. And it's an okay linebacker group. I could see this team getting out of the bottom 3 as far as being out of the linebacker position. They're not going to be the best in the conference, but for Charlotte and Tim Albin, it's a slow build. You want to just get these guys out of the bottom 3, and I think they could do that.
The
secondary,
front 7 is definitely better. I'm with you there.
Yeah, the secondary, Shamar McIntosh is a guy they like. They've got another guy, CJ Clinkscales, Tredarius Smith, and Colin Gill are other guys. It's not a strong secondary. They were about as bad as you could be last season in the defensive secondary, and I don't know how much better it could be, but again, you're talking about a group that maybe they get out of the bottom 15. So if they can get to 120th in FBS and pass defense ratings instead of being at 133rd, maybe there's a chance that they get a few stops, they flip the field, they intercept a pass in the end zone instead of surrendering a touchdown, or they tip it away and force a field goal. There could be a tiny amount of improvement because they were so bad last year at times, but it's not a strong secondary.
Yeah, I didn't really know the names in the secondary. So, I mean, they got a couple guys, but for the most part, we're talking about guys 4 FBS snaps, 3 FBS. I mean, it's a very inexperienced unit. The front, that's why I said it like that. The front 7, I think, is significantly better than it was heading into the season last year. The secondary, I don't know.
Yeah, and to tell you how far behind they are, too, I was stunned. Like you kind of alluded to this, but Tim Albin was like the king of the castle in Athens, Ohio, and he leaves to come here. And it was just such a stunning
It was weird
move. The guy could have waited and ended up at App State after a firing, or if Blake Harrell were to leave, he could end up at ECU.
And
or
his
a
whole
guy
staff stayed. It was just unusual.
It was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was very bizarre. And to tell you how far behind they are, I have these guys favored in the opener, and I don't have them favored again. And I also have them catching 10.5 or more against every other opponent that they face. They will be double-digit dogs, or at least projected out here in the preseason, in every game that they play the rest of the way. Now, I will tell you this. We should have had this conversation earlier because I actually played Charlotte in the opener. I laid 10.5 against the Citadel. Unfortunately for everyone listening in, 100 other people did too, and that's ballooned up to 17.5.
What?
But I did get a good number here, and I think that Charlotte is well equipped to... The Citadel's not very good, man. If you know anything about FCS football, the Southern Conference was way down, and it's like the Citadel and VMI are the 2 worst of the worst of the worst, and it's not going to be very fun. Citadel had an explosive receiver that averaged 33 yards per catch. He's gone. They only have 5 running backs on the roster. They only have 6 linebackers on scholarship. Charlotte will look better in the opener this year, and they will handle the Citadel, but what are their best chances for wins if you pull up the schedule the rest of the way? If you're trying to look for opportunities for Charlotte to notch wins, true straight up wins, not covers, but actual wins, maybe I'm not saying they're going to win these games, but maybe hosting Louisiana, maybe going to UAB or North Texas. Like maybe Tulane is way down.
They got Tulane off the bye.
Yeah, maybe those are about as good as it's going to get. Otherwise, you're looking at 3. You're going to have to pull several upsets as 3 touchdown underdogs, and I just don't know that this group is going to be able to do that. And they're really, it's just so unfortunate because I do think Connor Harrell, the other quarterback, is athletic and kind of a guy that can make plays and make the offense kind of fun, but he won't be back until week 6 at the earliest.
Yeah, the win total's only 2.5. It makes
sense. And the win total's appropriately priced. We've seen in the past these win totals just get destroyed because teams are better. The transfer portal hits are there, but when you just look at the schedule for these guys, it would be stunning if they won 3 games.
How's the North Texas rebuild? Could they steal that one?
I thought coming into it that North Texas was going to be complete garbage. They're clearly nowhere close to what they were last year. I'm not going to spend any time talking about
we don't need
who's not at North Texas because we can do that when we preview Oklahoma State because they're all there. But if you do look at what Neil Brown did, they actually were pretty aggressive and feisty in the portal. It's not going to replenish what they did last year, but Jaheim White comes in at running back, pretty decent player. Nick Osho comes in from the FCS level in Indiana State. He's a big physical running back. Corey Milliner was at UAB. He'll catch passes here. Josiah Martin was a decent player for North Texas. Tavon Jackson comes in from Central Florida to battle at quarterback. Hasn't won the job yet, but he's there.
He can play.
He can play. Defensive line is thin. They're going to be reliant on transfers from Georgia Southern, UMass, Georgia State. Not really programs that you want to transfer defensive linemen in from. Defense is probably going to be even farther behind than it was last year. I think North Texas is fade material for a decent majority of the season, but yeah, we'll see. If North Texas loses against Tulsa, which I think they absolutely can do, they're probably going to start 1-4. Maybe the expectations of the season get reset. But that spot against Charlotte, you almost think they have.
They would have to win that one. Duck, where can they find you?
Yeah, so Action Network, we've got all of our group of 6 pods that we have released. Most of the articles are out. I just wrote up 10,008 words on the Conference USA. That'll be out tomorrow or Tuesday. I do the Bet US show occasionally. They're switching things up with that, so I'm generally on that show on Mondays now. I'm going to be doing some other fun projects, which I'll announce here shortly. But then also twice a week with you, we normally do Wednesdays and Fridays. This is kind of the Friday show since we had to circle back from last week. But twice a week here with you, my man, and I cannot wait. I think everyone's excited for talking season to kind of be done. Yeah. We've done enough chin wag this summer. Let's get the games going.
Yeah, we're ready. I just put the name. It's called Big Bets on Campus. That's a podcast he does at Action Network. I just put it. It's spelled just like that. I put it in the comments. Duck, see you on Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
So let's touch base tomorrow at some point, and we'll iron out. There's still a bunch of teams we didn't preview. So if we don't have any more games left, let's just pick like 8-10 teams to preview, and we'll just run through them.
Yep, we'll do that. Yeah, and if anyone in the chat too, again, 465 people, throw in there what you want us to cover, and we'll get.
Did people request last time? I forgot to check. I was so busy over the weekend. I'll check this time.
They're asking for Iowa, and we skipped Iowa tonight.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's Josh. He asked for Iowa. We can do Iowa. He'll ask for Iowa the next day. It's Josh. He loves Iowa. But yeah, I will check. I apologize if you made a request and I didn't see it. I will check tomorrow if you requested a team, and we'll line it up for Wednesday night. But everyone, thanks for watching. Enjoy your Monday. Make sure you bet responsibly. See you.